Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Why, hello, all you wonderful people. Welcome back to another very exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And on this episode, we got a lot of major news to cover. A lot of major animation and entertainment news that we are going to go down. So big, in fact, that I knew that this is the kind that I cannot be alone for this one. I did try searching for a special guest, and unfortunately, I wasn't that lucky to try to get it on my first try. I asked a few people, and they said no. But luckily, there is one person who finally said yes. And you know what? All the better, because it really is a case of third time's the charm. This is probably the best one that I've got so far among those that I wanted to search for, mainly because this is the one who said yes to me. So, please welcome back to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, a beloved movie buff, and of course a good buddy of mine. Please welcome back from Vaulting, Morgan Ledger. Morgan, what is up, dude?
Hey everybody, it's been 365 days, but hey, it's better to wait a year than ever.
Has it been that long? Holy crap.
It feels like it. The last it certainly feels like it. The last time I was on here, I know we had the Over the Moon and the Splash Mountain getting turned into Princess and the Frog, so...
Oh, dang. Okay, well, I wouldn't say it's a full year, but yeah, it has been that
It feels
long.
like it, especially everything going on up in here in Canada, you know?
Oh, yeah. Especially after with what we've been through, time can feel like it goes by way too quickly, or like, it can feel like it's been ages sometimes. Yeah, but don't worry, at least, like, there is the light at the end of the tunnel. We do know that there is going to be a happy ending. And by the way, Morgan, speaking of which, now that we are both here again, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
From the words of my common ancestors when they saw the first woolly mammoth and began to hunt against it, Gunga Alunga Shavu. Whatever the hell that means, it probably means, let's get to it.
Sounds about right. All right, Chadwell, are you ready for today's episode? Let me hear it. Are you all set for this one? Let's see. Yes. Now we're getting some. That's perfect. That's great to see. And now, with all that said, it is now time that we shall go and begin this episode. Or, as I usually say, let's get this started. So
I am vaccinated, so let's launch.
Are you fully vaccinated? Like, you also got your second?
Yes, I had to because my mother has lupus and it's an autoimmune disease, so I figured might as well play it safe instead of just letting it sit it out.
Yeah, true. I only got my first shot so far. I won't be getting my second until, like, so far September. It really is a Canada thing, so that's why,
Yeah.
like, it's...
I know we got a lot of news to go through, but I'll say this very quickly. When you get that second one, be freaking prepared. I am not kidding, because when I got it, I felt like I was doing fine, and then right around 3 a.m., I feel a sudden chill, like I'm in an ice box. I'm like, there's no AC in the room. What's going on here? I'm just shaking like hell. And the rest of the day, it was just in and out, like, must sleep. No, keep awake. Must sleep. No, keep awake. Gotta drink fluids. Don't feel good. Next thing, I'm bundled up like a potato trying to get through the entire session, but when you get through it, it's definitely worth it.
Okay, yeah, like I have heard stories about the crazy side effects of the second shot, but I know for me that's gonna be something I'll go and brace myself for later, because I already got a few months to prepare myself anyways. But anyways, going back to this episode, we might as well go and start things off with the sad one, to get that one out of the way first. And it really is a bit of an unfortunate one, especially considering how this week we have had several celebrity deaths that did occur. Not just this one, but also we got Eric Paul, I believe that's his name, the author of The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Eric Cradle, I believe his name is.
Yeah,
Is it Cradle? I
Oh,
think
Eric
it's
Carl. Eric Carl.
Carl.
Okay,
Thank you.
I knew it
Carl.
was like some kind of common name. Yeah. So we had Eric Carl, and we also had Paul. Who is it? Paul, the original voice, the voice of Spider-Man from the 1967 cartoon. Paul. It's a Paul something.
Paul Souls.
Paul Souls.
Paul
Yes, thank
Souls.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then,
Paul Soul.
of course, we had Charles Grodin, which,
Mhm.
if you covered last week, I don't want to be too redundant.
No, I haven't actually.
Really? Wow. Nick Holliday from Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, right. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Long list of films. Beethoven.
Hmm.
Hell, me and my friends are doing a riff on the '76 King Kong, the long cut, and he's really good in that one.
Ah, right. That is true. But for this one, though, amongst all of them, this is the one that kind of hit a lot of people in a personal matter. And who I'm going to be talking about is regarding Samuel E. Wright. Unfortunately, this week, Samuel E. Wright, the well known actor of both stage and screen, has unfortunately passed away at the age of 74 due to prostate cancer. There was a little tribute post that was written on the Facebook page of the town of Montgomery, New York, which I will read here from my source on Deadline, as it states. Sam was an inspiration to us all, and along with his family, established the Hudson Valley Conservatory. Sam and his family has impacted countless Hudson Valley youth, always inspiring them to reach higher and dig deeper to become the best versions of themselves. On top of his passion for the arts and his love for his family, Sam was most known for walking into a room and simply providing pure joy to those he interacted with. He loved to entertain, he loved to make people smile and laugh, and excuse me, he loved to love. And regarding the whole career of Samuel E. Wright, he has done a lot of different work for the stage and especially on television and a little bit on the big screen as well. On Broadway, he was credited to be a part of the original cast of Jesus Christ Superstar and even
Mhm.
taking on the leading role of Pippin right after Ben Vereen. On top of that, also doing other stage shows, including Mulebone, Welcome to the Club, Over Here, and even receiving a Tony Award nomination for the Tap Dance Kid. On the screen, especially on television, he has appeared in shows such as Ball 4, as well as the Dukes of Hazzard spin-off sitcom Enos, where he played the role of Sonny Schroyer, and even made appearances in shows such as All My Children, The Cosby Show, Spencer for Hire, and Johnny Zero, as well as even appearing in the 1988 Charles Parker biopic Bird, where he played the role of Dizzy Gillespie. But what Samuel E. Wright is known for the most is playing the role of Sebastian, the crab in Disney's The Little Mermaid, a role in which he played many times before. Several times actually, both for television and for other movies as well, including the direct-to-video sequels, The Little Mermaid 2: Return to the Sea, as well as what is said to be his final credit, The Little Mermaid: Ariel's Beginnings. He also plays Sebastian on television, including the 1990s animated series, as well as The House of Mouse, and even playing Sebastian in other forms, including different CDs where Sebastian would sing different popular songs like Octopus's Garden or Hot Hot Hot. Or
I remember that one pretty well. They used to have that VHS tape.
yeah, there is that. Yeah, and probably that one is called. Well, what you have, it even mentions it's called Sebastian's Caribbean Jamboree. That could be
That's
the
it.
one. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. As I think I already mentioned, he already played House of Mouse and several others as well. But that was.
Crone in Dinosaur.
I was just about to say that Sebastian is not his only Disney credit as well. In 2000, he did appear in the movie Dinosaur, where he went 180 on the type of role that he played. That is completely not like Sebastian, where he played the role of Kron, which is who is the ruthless leader of the herd that Aladar joined in that big adventure. But also, he did receive another Tony Award nomination for playing the original Mufasa in the Broadway adaptation of The Lion King. So, Morgan, do you have any comments or have any like special memories you would like to share related to Samuel E. Wright?
I guess it's no surprise to say that if you grew up in the 90s, chances are you had The Little Mermaid as a big part of your childhood. And I will say, growing up, there were two characters, well, actually three if you count Flounder. There were two characters I always look forward to whenever I saw that film. One was Ariel, obviously, and the other was Sebastian the Crab. Um, and honestly, looking back in hindsight, I think the heart of the movie was really Sebastian. Because he was the Jiminy Cricket. He was literally the center of everything that was going on. I mean, that's a very difficult character. Not only is he helping out the royal family, but here he is talking to Triton, dealing with problems being a father, Ariel and her dreams of going up on land, and he's just in the middle of all this trying to figure out who do I serve, who do I balance this out? And the one scene I always love, just really, really love, where it shows Wright's performance is just pitch perfect. They're up on land, Ariel has her legs, and he has this complete breakdown where they're in a bit of a jam because she doesn't have a voice, she has legs. And he's thinking to himself, no, maybe we could fix this. Maybe we just go back to the witch, turn you back to a mermaid, and no, wait, that won't work as well because you'll still be miserable for the rest of your life. All right, fine, I'll help you out. But it's more than just Howard Ashman's writing, because credit goes to Ashman for writing those lines, because that was the last minute
Well, that
addition.
was the what wasn't that? Well, didn't Howard Ashman mainly do the lyrics? Like, I know he's a part of the writing team, but
He helped out in a couple of different spots. One was that scene when
oh, okay.
Sebastian realizes, I got to help Ariel out, or otherwise she's going to be the same miserable character. The other one was when he's trying to tell her how to kiss the prince. That got cut down a little bit, but you can see on the DVD it's a fun scene. And the other one too is the ending. Because originally, if you look on the special features, Triton and Sebastian just looked at the Ariel and the prince, and Triton just like, he did save me, and he just, in a nod or whatever, they just give her what she wants. But no, Howard Ashman contributed saying there needs to be a little more dialogue there. The realization that Triton's giving her what she wants, but at the same time, there's a problem. He's going to lose a family member, someone really close to him. And it's the second favorite moment is when Sebastian tells him, you can't have your kids be glued to you forever. They got to go their own separate ways and do what they can. But it's his moment when he realizes, okay, now I got to help her out. That's the one that gets me the most so much because of Wright's performance, because there's so many energies he's channeling. He's upset, and then he comes to realization, and he's like connecting with her, and he finally gives in. And that's just a credit to how Samuel is great doing characters like this. I didn't know he played Mufasa in the Broadway version of Lion King, and I had that soundtrack for a long time. Every time I listen to those numbers, he lives in you. I'm like, wow, this is actually a really great Mufasa. And then when I found out Samuel passed away, I'm like, wow, it would have been great to see him on stage.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one amazing thing about Samuel E. Wright is that just by looking at his Disney credits alone, I've already mentioned this, but it's incredible the contrast of the different types of characters that he would play. Where you got Sebastian, which I've already mentioned this on social media, but like in a way, Sebastian really did set a brand new standard for Disney comic reliefs or Disney sidekicks moving forward when entering upon Disney's Renaissance era, where like they would definitely be a major contributor, but not necessarily the same kind that we would usually get before. Like in a way, as you did mention, he's a bit like Jiminy Cricket, but
Yes.
in a way a little bit more evolved as well, where it's like Jiminy Cricket given so many responsibilities and has to deal with the stress of everything going on.
And I like that because Samuel gets a lot of comedic potential, and there's a lot of drama mixed in there. It's such a perfectly balanced out character because he's juggling around so much. In a way, I do connect with that character quite a lot, given how much I have to do around here.
Yeah, of course. And then suddenly you and then like you move away from Sebastian, and then you look at Dinosaur, and you look at a character like Kron. And honestly, it was a massive surprise to see how just like you, when I heard that he passed away, and then I read about like a lot of the credits, that's when it really clicked when it really clicked that Sebastian was also Kron, and that he was also Mufasa. And like when you watch Kron, yeah, like it's a bit of a mixed movie, Dinosaur, but
It
like looking at
is.
Kron's performance, like you could see how much like he really does sell it as like this ruthless and very selfish leader, that it's like really survive or die. And like, yeah, if you're a weak one, then like screw you, get out of our way.
Yeah, I actually do remember seeing that twice. Once on the big screen and one of the drive-in theaters. And I'm trying to remember the movie they paired that with, because I always have a good memory. It was in the 2000s. But I remember first hearing about, well, trailers and stuff. But when I first heard about Samuel E. Wright playing that character, it was in a magazine, and it listed Sebastian the Crab as Kron. Like, no, how is that possible? How is he the antagonist? I remember just being a little 10-year-old me being so miffed by that. Like, wow, how did you go from a good guy to this?
Yeah.
It's incredible. And at the same time, it's like you just wish he did so much more. But it's like, no, he was on stage. He did so many plays. And that's the best thing about being on stage, is that you get to play so many characters, perform in so many plays. When you're doing a movie, you play that character once. There's maybe 3 or 4 takes, but they're editing it together. You got one shot to be on the big screen, and you're forever in celluloid. Stage, on the other hand, you have more range. You can play a character more than once, and that's the beauty of it, because he did so much more every way you look at it.
Yeah, and that's really one thing to admire about Samuel E. Wright's career, is that he is much more than just Sebastian. He's a very versatile actor, and you see
Hmm.
all the different credits that he has, and like you would never think that it's from that one guy who played that nervous Jamaican crab from the Little Mermaid. And it's not just with the Disney roles, like also playing Kron and even playing the stage version of Mufasa, but like he was also in stuff like Pippin or Jesus Christ
Hmm.
Superstar, or even
That's a good one.
in a Dukes of Hazzard spin-off, or even
Which,
even
which,
playing like jazz legend Dizzy Gillespie.
yeah. The Enos one I've never heard of until now. That does sound like it could be interesting.
It could. I mean,
Huh.
if you are a fan of the Dukes of Hazzards, that could be worth a watch.
Yeah.
At least just to expand on your Dukes of Hazzards knowledge.
Them old Duke boys got them running with a big lobster. Let's see if that Sebastian can get them out of this one with a simple big lard of melted butter.
I appreciate you calling me large, but I am not a lobster!
And I do remember seeing the cartoon growing up too. There's some funny moments there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, there were several cartoons that I do recall, because I remember when doing my research on The Little Mermaid, it's not just the animated series that, like, also had Sebastian being prominent there, but I remember there was even a spin-off Sebastian cartoon. Like, I think
Hmm.
it's when Disney had their Marsupilami animated series. There
Oh,
was
they
some,
did the
yeah, they
the
did some.
packaged one. I barely remember that. They did like it was either paired with Bonkers or Timon and Pumbaa, one of those two, where they have like different segments spliced here. I know the
Mhm.
Marsupilami one was paired with one of them.
Yeah, I think it was. Well, it's like it was related with Marsupilami, but I remember
Hmm.
seeing that there was like this spin-off cartoon of Sebastian, where it's very similar to Timon and Pumbaa, where it's like you just take Sebastian and you put him in a modern setting, or like
Ah,
he's in all these different kinds of scenarios, but it's just you're joining Sebastian on this one.
hmm. Sounds like it could be fun.
Well, yeah, like, and as I said, from the clips that I have seen, and from some of the cartoons that I've seen from that one, if you are a fan of the Timon and Pumbaa cartoon that they had back in the '90s, then you'll probably also enjoy the Sebastian one. And also there is one more thing that I do want to say related to Samuel E. Wright as Sebastian, is that the thing is with his voice is that like nowadays, especially thanks to the popularity of Under the Sea, his voice is very much iconic, and I have yet to honestly hear a voice actor that can duplicate that voice of Sebastian, Because like you know when it truly is Sebastian when he is played by Samuel E. Wright. Everyone else trying to be Sebastian, whoo man, it's noticeable. Like I remember when I went to Disneyland and I went to the Ariel's Undersea Adventure, the major Little Mermaid ride. And like there are some moments when they would have Sebastian be featured. I think like when he would sing Under the Sea, they would use the soundtrack of the movie.
Obviously.
But it happens on several occasions when the ride would stop. And usually, like, when you're in a ride and suddenly it has to stop, like, there's, like, this one voice saying, it's like, uh-oh. It was like, oh, we're having technical difficulties. Hold on tight. Don't worry. Just stay there. The ride will move shortly.
And we lost another Timmy on the tram. Please stand by for identification.
Yeah, it's something like that. But, oh my God, the one that they had in the ride, it's supposed to be Sebastian. But, oh man, you could tell that it was a voice actor. It's like, oh no, Ursula, the sea witch, has managed to stop the clams. But don't worry, me and Ariel will go and fix it. It's like, dude, come on, man.
What? That's the excuse.
No, I kid you not. Like, I'm not saying it like note by note, but it is something like that. That they're pinning they're putting the blame on like Ursula's curse stopping the shells from moving. And so,
please hold on, your clam shows, dude. It appears that Blush the shark is going to defeat a rampage.
It's a little bit like that. I am not kidding. It's just. It's a voice that is very much difficult to replicate, and like usually there are some voice actors who can actually do the voices very well. Like I'll give credit, like in that same ride, they actually did get a great replacement for Scuttle. Like the new person voicing Scuttle, it's like it's a pretty
Hackett.
Yeah, like he did a pretty solid match with He did a very solid match with Buddy Hackett, but the guy doing Sebastian, no. I have yet to hear a different Sebastian that legitimately sounds like Samuel E. Wright. So it definitely does define as a voice that is often imitated but never duplicated.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even some people are even mentioning, like, even in the Kingdom Hearts games, apparently they try to bring in Kevin Michael Richardson to be Sebastian, but even at that one is like...
I mean, I like Kevin Michael Richardson, but he really does a lot of deep tone characters.
Mm-hmm.
So with Sebastian, it's sort of more of like it's a sort of like a mid-range character because he has a lot of nervous tension senses. So for someone, you have to go like a little more of a higher octave for that kind of role.
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, I already see in the chat wall a lot of people are mentioning about Brian Hall doing a great Sebastian impression, but I'm talking about the ones that were officially hired by Disney to do to do Sebastian. I'm not denying Brian Hall's performance. Like, I'm sure he could do a great impression of Sebastian, like he does with a lot of impressions. But I'm talking about like the official Sebastian voices. But. Go on.
Can never be replaced.
Exactly. Overall, though, it is a bit of a sad loss. Unfortunately, it's kind of unfortunate that we see someone like him go, and it kind of makes us realize, like, yeah, even with a character like Sebastian, who's just like one of like a whole bunch of Disney sidekicks, like it is a very significant one that really touched a lot of people's lives. Any other closing thoughts, Morgan?
None outside the fact that this guy will be remembered, but truly not forgotten.
Yeah, definitely nice.
This is why I never eat crab because of that movie.
Oh, really?
No. You can't. You just love the little guy. You don't want to eat his kind.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I always prefer lobster as well. There's a lot more meat to it.
All right, Zoidberg, you're up.
Yep, exactly. All right, so let me just go into the chat wall right now, and I would like to ask you all, do you have any words that you would like to express, any memories that you would like to share related to any of the performances that Samuel E. Wright has done, whether it be Sebastian or any of the other ones outside of Disney? Let me know if you guys have any thoughts.
Oh, we got a lot. They're exploding in the chatting.
Ah, yes. That's why you always got to brace yourself for these moments.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see now. I was one of many 90s kids who was introduced to the concept of reggae music by Sam Wright's performance as Sebastian, as well as his little-known performance of Animal Calypso from Disney's Let's Go to the Circus sing-along video. My sincere condolences to his family. Thank you so much for taking our generation of children under the sea. Let's see. It is very sad to see Samuel E. Wright go, but I do know him more in Disney films than on stage, like voicing the lovable Sebastian for The Little Mermaid and the ruthless Kron from Disney's 2000 Dinosaurs movie. May he rest in peace, and hope the upcoming Little Mermaid remake will dedicate it to him. Oh, most likely. Oh boy, yeah. Actually, that's what I would like to know.
I almost forgot about that up until this happened.
Yeah. How do you feel? Like, are you gonna prepare yourself with Daveed Diggs playing as Sebastian?
Daveed Diggs, refresh my brain.
Have you seen Hamilton?
Not yet, but I've seen clips. I've heard some of the music. With all due respect, I just view it as another adaptation or another. I know stage performance is the wrong way to put it because it's a movie.
Okay, no. Actually, I got a better example. One that I'm for sure you got to know. Okay, so this year's Super Bowl commercial from Sesame Street.
Oh, the DoorDash stuff.
The DoorDash stuff. Yeah, the guy who raps at an incredible speed. That's Daveed Diggs.
I could see that working. I could kind of see that working a little bit. I'd have to see execution-wise after seeing Shaggy in the live show.
Oh God, yeah, that's another one. Man.
Oh God, let's move on.
Yeah.
Who else do we have here? Oh, Edward Bovas got to see Sammy Wright on Broadway when he was 11 as Mufasa. It was magnificent. He was a booming presence when he was on stage. Also, his short film series where you are played Sebastian the Crab trying to be killed by the chef during the Timon and Pumbaa show is also very funny. And yeah, we also mentioned about Eric Carle earlier, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, and that is true. I did forget Sebastian did do a few cameos outside of The Little Mermaid. Like I already mentioned.
Yes, Aladdin is an obvious one.
Yeah, Aladdin. I already mentioned House of Mouse, and yeah, he also appeared in the Timon and Pumbaa show. Apparently, that's what he said. Let's see now. Even as someone who hasn't seen The Little Mermaid, I will admit that the voice of Sebastian is one that I would instantly recognize. It also hurts that the world lost such a kind soul. And with that, Godspeed Samuel E. Wright, a voice that can be imitated but never duplicated. Actually, maybe I should watch that film after the cast is done. Yeah, you need to watch The Little Mermaid. How have you not seen The Little Mermaid yet? It's like a major Disney staple.
Well, it depends on what movies you grow up or what films are presented to you as a young kid. I mean, for a while, I couldn't see Beauty and the Beast for certain reasons up until I was like maybe 11. There was some family stuff going on. So I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to put this away for the time being. So the main ones for me were Little Mermaid, Robin Hood, Rescuers Down Under, Great Mouse Detective, Fox and the Hound. So it was just that collab right there. And no, I did mention Rescuers Down Under. I thought I forgot about that for a second.
No, but yeah, go on.
And then there's the Muppet stuff. That's a whole other conversation.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really does depend on what you're exposed to at that kind of age length.
Yeah, I can understand. Gaston's chest hair can be a little too extreme.
Right, shave it.
Yeah, I'll read one more comment before we move on. and by the way, Morgan, never.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you cannot top me, man. You just cannot top me.
I can't.
Let's see. I applaud Samuel E. Wright for the career that he's led on stage and his career. His performances have left their mark on my childhood as well as the childhood of so many others. May his family be proud of him forevermore, and may his legacy incite a whole new generation to lead equally accomplished careers and lives. To conclude with one of his most iconic lines, children got to be free and lead their own lives. Here comes the waterworks.
That's the line I was thinking of.
What a soft shell I'm turning out to be. Yeah, nice way to conclude this, and
it is
definitely true, man.
It is. Okay, what's
All
on
right.
the roster?
Now we're going to go onto a much lighter note. As I said before, I wanted to get the sad one out of the way, and now we can get into the good part. And this is going to be much more of a palate cleanser, and something to go and really lift up our spirits. Something that seems like a little bit fun. Maybe something that might be a little too old for some of us, but, it looks something like it could be very much pleasant. And what I'm talking about, we're going to be jumping from The Little Mermaid all the way up to Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, I saw the promo video for this, and I have some optimism.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
For those of you who don't know, Disney has officially announced that there is going to be a brand new stage adaptation of Winnie the Pooh. And this is actually going to be coming soon this year in October. And by the way, before anyone says anything, no, this isn't going to be like a full-on Broadway adaptation. This is going to be in a smaller venue in New York. It's going to be in Times Square's Theater Row. And so far, from what they are promising, it looks like it's going to be a bit of an adaptation of the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, considering that they do promise that a lot of our favorite characters are going to be coming back, and that they will be including many of the beloved songs written by the Sherman Brothers. The show itself is said to be from Jonathan Rockefeller, who has already had a bunch of experience working on these types of musicals, these types of stage adaptations that are geared a lot more towards younger children and are more heavily reliant on innovative puppetry. Jonathan Rockefeller has already worked on projects such as The Very Hungry Caterpillar Show, as well as Paddington Gets in a Jam. He also put up a quote here, which I will read from my source here on D23, as it states, "I am thrilled to be entrusted to create a new classic for the stage, for new audiences as they join our adventure into the 100-Acre Woods, and what a grand adventure. Disney's Winnie the Pooh material is so incredibly rich that after more than half a century, I doubt that there is anyone who hasn't been profoundly moved or feels a personal connection with the wonderful characters of Pooh. The question we posed ourselves when creating this intimate musical adaptation was, how do we bring Pooh from the screen and onto the stage in an entirely fresh and new way, yet one that still pays homage to the deep canon of Winnie the Pooh iconography? The answer was easy. Well, conceptually easy, in theory. We needed to create incredibly brilliant and amazing puppetry that makes it impossible to believe the characters aren't real. Audiences can expect their hearts will be captivated by the characters, and their imaginations will soar in these life-size puppets." And by the way, we do actually have the trailer here. Morgan, do you want to show a little, or do you want me to show a little clip?
Second time's the charm. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short one. It's like around 30 seconds, I believe.
Roughly 30 seconds, because I saw this, I'm like, okay, I can definitely see something good come of this.
Well, if this ding-dang thing can play in the first place. Hold on a sec.
Glitch gremlin be gone.
Yeah, hold on a sec. Maybe a good old refresh can help things out.
Alright.
Like, I tried playing it, and it's like, this is a video? It's like... But in the meantime, Morgan, how do you feel about this, the idea of this Winnie the Pooh musical?
I grew up on Winnie the Pooh. Oh, okay. If I can share on my end somehow. I grew up on Winnie the Pooh. It's definitely one of those foundations of childhood in Disney that I look back upon, and there's been tons of adaptations when you really do think about it. So many different variations. So when it comes down to a musical version, that has my curiosity a little bit, because there's so many directions you can go in with this. You could do something similar to, say, the Peanuts musical, where it's just people dressed as the characters, like with the clothing and stuff. But no, this is a little more challenging, because they're trying to take the likeness of the character and actually bring them into a third-dimensional spot. And judging from what they're going for, it sounds vaguely similar to an opera version of Where the Wild Things Are, where they had people in suits and elements like that. So I'm a little optimistic to see what direction they could go in with this one, and if they're going to go to the source and use the Sherman Brothers songs. It definitely has me wondering what parts of the story they're going to use, what numbers they're going to be doing, because so many of them are iconic. Like, the minute you hear that name, Winnie the Pooh, a lot of the themes, a lot of the original numbers just come right to mind. Little Black Rain Cloud. Oh, it's working?
Yeah, it's working.
Oh, good. I was just about to share it on my end, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I got it. So let's take it. Okay, settle down, settle down. All right. So, here, let's just have a quick little peek of what they have in store with this trailer.
Yes. I'll say this, it looks a lot more colorful than the McG movie.
Oh, yeah.
Not a bad film, but it had some flaws.
Christopher Robin?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember when I first saw this trailer, I was curious when I first heard about this news, and then like I saw the trailer and I was like, oh crap, dude, I recognize that theme because they legit used the theme of the TV show. Like,
yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to watch a good amount of
the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of that series. So like when I heard that theme, it was like, oh crap, they're actually using that. Like, I was surprised like they didn't use like the Winnie the Pooh theme song like in the movies. No, they legit went with this one. So that was a bit of a shock for me.
Yes. Judging from the way the puppets look, they seem somewhat similar to the Book of Pooh. And if that's the direction they're going for, it's going to be interesting how it's going to be execution-wise. Because on that show, they had the puppets on a green screen. But it was a little more effective, given the technology was a little more better compared to something, say, The Fabulous World of Dr. Seuss, which was even ambitious for its time.
Yeah, that is true. And not to mention, I feel like with what they have done with Many Adventures of with what they're going to do with this Winnie the Pooh thing, I feel like going with puppetry, I feel like it is kind of the perfect way of actually adapting Winnie the Pooh. Like, why not actually use puppets? Because, like, in a way, the show is supposed to be Christopher Robin playing with, well, the whole concept of Winnie the Pooh is that it's supposed to be set in Christopher Robin's imagination, just playing with his toys. So why not just bring the toys to life using puppets?
Exactly, and it's a perfect idea because, let's be honest, if they did this and they had 20 or 30-year-old as Christopher Robin, it would not work. It would be like Blue's Clues done live action. It would just look weird. But if it's just the toys just on their own moving, I would be very interested to see how that could carry for a musical. Because there's so much you can do with puppetry. Because we've come so far with how a simple animatronic can come to life and carry a story and things like that. And a lot of examples come to mind. But for a stage musical, that's going to be interesting to see because you're in front of a live audience. There's a lot of technicals. How are you going to hide the rods? Are the rods going to be there? Or are you going to see the puppeteer behind them? Like, it's stylized, like Julie Taymor's Lion King or something to that extent. There's a lot of opportunities here. It's just execution. Please be good.
Yeah, from what I've seen, though, I will say it is a bit of a guess because I have seen, like, I saw some clips of what Jonathan Rockefeller has already done with The Very Hungry Caterpillar and with the Paddington show. And from the looks of it, there is a little bit of that mix. Like, you got a bit of that Julie Taymor style with what she did with the Lion King for what we have now with The Very Hungry Caterpillar. But then you have Paddington Gets in a Jam, and that's more like a straightforward, typical puppet show where, like, they don't show the puppeteer or anything like that. They just show, like, Paddington as like a typical Muppet or something like that. And I feel like probably with what they would do with this, they'll probably go into the like something similar to what they have done with probably with Paddington. That's my guess. But I wouldn't be surprised if they would go with a style that would be similar to something like The Lion King, or even what they did with Frozen with
yeah.
Olaf.
Because even that, oh yeah, that's a pretty good example, Olaf. Because another example I was thinking was Avenue Q, where you actually saw the performer with the puppet, but that's a little more of a parody of Sesame Street. For something like this, it's definitely going to be quite stylized from the looks of it. And given that it is going to the source, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to articulate these puppets. Because you can't just have a blank expression; they got to have eyebrows, facial expressions, movements. So I'm actually very curious to see how this is going to be all pulled off. It does look promising, judging from the credentials alone.
Yeah, of course. But also, you do have to keep in mind that this is going to be aimed for an audience that is much younger than the typical theater goer who would regularly watch Broadway shows. So it's going to be more for them. So you got to consider the puppetry won't be kind of the same as like what you would get with something like Avenue Q. I think they will put in more effort to hide the puppeteers so that like they really want people to just focus on Winnie the Pooh or Piglet or Tigger or any of those characters.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like it's judging from what I'm hearing, it's not going to be a person in a suit. That'd be even more awkward the more you think about it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, because then you have to consider height and be like, yeah, that's clearly someone in there. But no, if it's just these toys moving around, that's going to be interesting to see exactly how they're going to articulate that.
Yeah, you would probably end up with like that Garfield stage adaptation. Have you ever heard of that one?
This is my first time actually. I know about Garfield's Doomsday, but not that one.
Oh,
Judgment Day, that's what it is.
Oh boy, yeah. No, there was legit, like if you look it up, there is legit a Garfield adaptation. Like, hold on. Garfield stage adaptation.
I'm afraid.
Oh, it's exactly like how you described it. It literally is just characters dressed up like Garfield.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Oh my god. Oh no, I can't.
Oh dear. Yeah, like some of them are okay. Like there's like different versions of it. Oh dear. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna share. Yeah, I might as well share. Oh my lord, this
is almost as bad as the Nightman Cometh from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's what comes to mind when I see these pics.
Yeah, hold on a sec. I'll just let me go and share this little picture if I have it. Crap, did I save it? Did I save it in a different place? It is a sight to behold. I'll give it. No, it's there. It's there. I just need to. Yeah, there we go. Here, let me just. I don't know if you see it on my stream, Morgan, but I'll just bring it up.
There's always a second delay on these things, but if it is what I think it is.
Yeah, hold on. Wherefore art thou, Garf? Ay. Where is it?
The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's just my computer choosing to be a little bit slow for some reason. Ah, there we go. Just needs to be awake. All right. Yeah, come on. Show me Garfield. Show me the Garfield. It doesn't want to show me the Garfield.
It already sounds like a Family Feud blooper.
I know. It's just, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's yeah. And that's what I thought. It's just having technical difficulties. It's just, okay. No, that seems fine. There we go. Here it is. Here's Garf. Do you see it, Morgan?
Oh my god, Eddie Deason, what did they do to you?
I think my favorite is just Odie on the side. Like, what is this?
Is that Arlene? Oh man,
yeah, so,
no.
Yeah, you got Arlene, you got Nermal as a grown woman.
It's kind of sad when the only normal one out of the bunch is John Arbuckle, and he's not supposed to be.
No, it's just John Arbuckle completely shrunk it down to everyone's size.
He looks like Michael Keaton from an SNL sketch they cut, where he did like a Blue's Clues parody. Look it up. It's oh my god.
I can imagine SNL eventually doing something like this.
They've done many things. I wouldn't be too surprised.
I mean, they already dressed Elon Musk as frickin' Wario. I mean, what would be the limit?
Oh, did you see the Muppet parody they did with Keegan Michael?
Oh yeah, the security guards like taking care. Yeah.
Hey, there's the door. You get out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So It looks like it's not going to turn into that. I think we're in
Nope,
good
I
hands.
think it's safe. Yeah, I
No.
think it's safe to say that Winnie the Pooh will definitely not be like Garfield. And trust me,
Nope.
there
Nope.
are worse ones out there. There are some where like they even give the characters makeup,
Ugh.
like that, like almost trying to go into a cat's route with it.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
I've not seen that movie, and I'm gonna live a long life without seeing it.
Oh, lucky you, lucky you.
Well, that's because I saw your video, and I'm like, yeah, I saw the movie. Even
Yeah,
maybe a fraction, but you know what? I don't need to see the whole thing. I just saw it right then and there.
yeah. Okay, fair
Uh,
enough. You already saw a good portion of it.
When I see kids as in cockroach suits, that's where I stop.
being eaten up by Rebel Wilson.
I had night terrors for weeks about that.
And speaking of Garfield, that's what it makes me think of, those like memes of like those nightmare Garfield things. Like, have you ever heard of Garfield or something like that? Like that's what it reminds me of. It's like you just see Rebel Wilson, I'm sorry, John.
So anyway, yeah, Winnie the Pooh. It look. Here's how I view it. It's going to be one of those things where even if it is for a younger audience, as long as they don't water it down too much, that's my only worry. If they water the source down too much to the point where it's like, hey, for kids, if it's very straightforward, if it's like really straight to the source and poetic, okay, you have my ticket. That's fine. Because there are some media out there where they can do that, like Fraggle Rock, where it can be bright and colorful, but at the same time, very poetic. It just depends on how you execute it.
Yeah, I personally trust Jonathan Rockefeller with what he can do with Winnie the Pooh, because he's already gotten massive acclaim with properly adapting stuff like The Very Hungry Caterpillar and Paddington. So if he could give that kind of treatment to Winnie the Pooh like he did with those other adaptations, then I think it's all going to be in good hands.
Same.
Yep, and if you guys are curious to know when this is coming out, or if you're ready, if you really want to go see it, then keep in mind it will be in Times Square's Theater Row, which is in 410 West and 42nd Street, starting on October 21st. So, with that said, let's go into the chat wall right over here, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about the stage adaptation of Winnie the Pooh? Do you guys think it's a good idea? Do you think it has potential? Do you have any doubts? Let me know what you think. Let's see what we got here. It makes me happy that Winnie the Pooh will be a smaller musical than just made for kids, rather than try to go on Broadway, as there have been a long laundry list of musicals that were meant for kids that try to go to Broadway that have failed miserably. Like, for example, the Raggedy Ann musical that is also known as Rag Dolly. Oh yeah, I think there have been plenty of times where they tried to do Broadway for kids and
yeah,
the result wasn't that great.
Case in point, Superman the musical.
Superman the musical?
That happened in the 70s. I think it was called It's a Bird's a Plane, It's Superman, and it closed early. I think that says quite a lot.
For some reason, that sounded familiar, actually.
Live TV event they did in the 70s. It crashed and burned.
Ah, that's where I've heard it. Okay.
It was, yep.
So even DC has their own Turn Off the Dark.
Well, even before that, Turn Off the Dark was... Well, no, even before that, there was a Spider-Man musical, but it was for cruises. Actually, I think I have the book right... No. We're doing Winnie the Pooh. I'm not going to...
Yeah.
We got so much news to report. I'm not going to get distracted by showing what the lizard puppet looks like.
Oh, I don't know. It's going to be hard to imagine it could top the one from Turn Off the Dark. Oh, damn. He's going to do it. He's going to do it, folks.
It looks like a dyslexic Muppet that's not even finished. Let's see. Incredible Hulk. No.
Did you actually see it live? Like, were you on that cruise?
No. But at the same time, it's like, should I? No. Oh, it's in the preface. That's where it is. Okay. Here it is. This googly-eyed cookie monster monstrosity.
Oh my god, they just did that. That's just Godzilla in a lab coat.
I know.
That looks exactly like the same kind of Godzilla that did that jumpy dance.
On the moon.
Yeah, exactly that one. Like, you think, like, if he's gonna go after Spider-Man, he's just gonna jump backwards and fly, like, with his tail up.
Okay, who else do we have here?
Let's see.
As a musical theater kind of guy and a Winnie the Pooh fan, I'm definitely looking forward to this. I'm curious to see how they use the puppets to tell the story, and I'm definitely excited to hear the songs. Why not adapt Christopher Robin in a scene and have Eeyore sing, "I know him, that can't be. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi." This play practically oozes with potential, and I'm psyched to see more. Now, seeing as the story's done, anyone want a good dabble of honey?
Hey, I mean, to be fair, you bring in Ewan McGregor, it'll make audiences go, "Hello there."
Well, then that would be even more strange, because then you have to do like an adult version, like Christopher Robin going back to his old childhood. But they made the movie, so that'd be kind of redundant.
You never know. It could be a sequel to Christopher Robin where he's like, where like his mindset just goes back to his childhood.
That's true. Let's see here.
I got one. Go on.
Go on. I was just about to say, someone pointed out that it might be interesting to see that style of Book of Pooh, but maybe even based on the 2011 movie as an anniversary celebration. Never thought of it that way.
That is true, because it's not the first time that Winnie the Pooh got turned into a puppet. I wouldn't recommend going into the Book of Pooh route, because that's just a little bit freaky.
It looks better than what they did in the 80s with Welcome to the Pooh Corner.
No, sorry. That's what I meant. Sorry, that scratch that. No, the Book of Pooh is a much better route that they would go than Welcome to Pooh Corner. That's what I meant. Yeah, the Welcome to Pooh Corner one. Yeah, just don't go with that direction. Going into the Book of Pooh, that is not bad.
I agree.
Yeah,
I truly agree.
Yeah.
You think they'll have Kessie from the show?
No.
They'll probably go more for the movie.
Yeah, they're staying true to the they said, they're bringing in
yeah.
they're bringing in the Sherman Brothers song, so I don't think
Ooh, that gave me a good thought. How do you think they're gonna do Heffalumps and Woozles?
Yo,
that would be great.
That's gonna be
so
awesome.
much potential. That'd be like,
it's like a. What if it was like a glow in the dark nightmare sequence? That would be freaky but amazing.
Like, with blacklight. Oh, that would be awesome.
It didn't dawn me until right now.
Oh, that would be amazing. They could do. Oh my god, it kind of reminds me. Like, I don't know if you have seen it. Have you seen clips of the Japanese ride of Winnie the Pooh in Tokyo Disneyland?
No, I have not.
Oh, it is amazing. It's actually the first trackless dark ride, and what they've done is actually, like, the animatronics are, like, mind-blowing in there, and that was, like, released back in 2000, but the scene in freaking, for Heffalumps and Woozles, it's incredible. Like, if the stage adaptation could do something like that, I would be completely sold.
Another easy way around that, there's a section in School the Musical called Having a Hunch, where it's all blacklit, and you see like these white hands moving around and everything. There's different versions in high school where it's like pipe cleaners moving around and stuff, forming different shapes in an abstract form. If it's like that, I'm sold.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I really love Winnie the Pooh as a kid, and I still do today. I might look forward to this, even though I'm 23. I could give this a watch. If this musical succeeds, then it might be the next musical adaptation of The Lion King. Ooh, that's a bit extreme. Because they're using the characters as puppets. I'm pretty surprised that they're making more Disney movies into musical adaptations, or that they have not yet. What's next? Raya and the Last Dragon, Zootopia, Big Hero 6, or maybe Lilo and Stitch? Those could be something worth adapting. I don't know, maybe the recent ones are probably a little too soon. Like, even with Frozen, like that was a bit too early. I have heard good things about. I heard some good things. Like, the only one I would say could be pretty legit in terms of like turning it into a musical would be either Tangled or Moana. Well, like Tangled, they've already did so in a way in like the Disney cruises, but Moana, that I could see some potential.
Yeah, I certainly can see that working pretty well. I mean, if they can make a musical out of the Little Mermaid on roller skates, which is true, I can easily see Moana working in that fashion.
Yeah, but like, worst case scenario, just stick to the Disney classics. I think I heard one that they are going to do in the future that does sound like it could have some Lion King potential would be The Jungle Book.
Oh, that's easy. That's an easy one to do. I can definitely see that working out pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm still waiting to see Hunchback come to Broadway. I mean, like, that is long
They've been
overdue.
pushing that for so long. I don't know what the issue is. They did a version off Broadway and it was fine.
Yeah, they
but
did it in,
I
like,
don't know
what,
why they didn't get the move.
Yeah, they got it. They had it like what in a stage in like New Jersey or something. Like, when is it
Something.
coming to Broadway?
Something like that. They had like, oh my goodness, that Hunchback. A lot of potential there. I don't know why, but Mouse Detective's coming to mind. I don't know how you could pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is that like there's no excuse at this point. You already did Tarzan. Where's Quasimodo's chance?
Please, there's already a book.
Yeah,
Twice.
I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next one.
Night Before Christmas. No, they have the stage show.
There's a stage show?
They do like a live performance thing where there's one variant where they dress up as the characters, so they have like some of the actual actors coming back and performing.
No, I see that more as like a lot of puppet potential. Anyway,
especially Oogie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's see who else we got here.
I only just listened to the tune, and already I feel the anxiety. Like, seriously, in fact, I love that theme tune. The series itself is possibly the greatest from Disney TV. Stands up to be timeless, and honestly, it should be a great idea to be brought on stage. With Winnie the Pooh, it might turn out to be something great to even some promising people who will be adapting. So overall, I'm excited. All right.
Works for me.
All right, so for the next story here, oh boy, we're going to be entering into a major mess. Now, this is something that has been going around social media, and this has been something that a lot of people have stated, and now that they have pretty much been straightforward about it, yeah.
If it is what I think it is.
Oh, it is what you think it is, dude.
Crap.
Yeah, we might as well get into this one.
Alright, here's the heffalump in the room, people. You paid money to hear about this.
Yep, well, maybe. I don't know. We got several of these, but yes, let us talk about J.J. Abrams' confession about the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I realized. It's like, wait a minute, we got several of these. But if it is the one that you're thinking of, I'm saving that one for last.
I think I know why.
Oh, yeah. But
go
anyways,
out big, then fade away.
Yeah. When it comes to the scenario with J.J. Abrams, he had a bit of a chat with Collider, reflecting back on what he has done with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, most namely his contribution as a director on The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. The one thing that he has regretted, and one thing that he did learn from his experience working on those Star Wars movies, is that maybe, just maybe, having a plan could actually be a good idea. That that if you planned it all from the very beginning, plan out a good narrative for all the movies, not just one, then maybe things might work things out. I'll go and read the big quote here from my source on Collider, as it states, in his own words, I've been involved in a number of projects that have been, in most cases, series that have ideas that begin the thing where you feel like you know where it's going to go, and sometimes it's an actor who comes in, other times it's a relationship that, as written, doesn't quite work, and things that you think are just going to be so well received just crash and burn, and other things that you think like, oh, that's a smaller moment, or that's a one-episode character, suddenly becomes a hugely important part of the story. I feel like what I've learned as a lesson a few times now, and it's something that, especially in this pandemic year working with writers, has become clear. The lesson is that you have to plan things as best as you can, and that you always need to be able to respond to the unexpected. And the unexpected can come in all sorts of forms, and I do think that there's nothing more important than knowing where you're going. And he even puts in one additional quote here. Just like the icing on the cake on this, you just never really know, but having a plan, I have learned, in some cases, the hard way, is the most critical thing, because otherwise you don't know what you're setting up. You don't know what to emphasize because if you don't know the inevitability of the story, you're just as good as your last sequence or effect or joke or whatever, but want to be leading to something inevitable. So, Morgan, I know you probably have some strong feelings regarding the sequel trilogy. How do you feel now about J.J. Abrams' confession saying that he had no idea what he's doing or didn't even had a plan for the whole sequel trilogy?
I knew about this ever since Rise of Skywalker came out, and everybody, cast, crew, studio, were pointing fingers and saying, it was this fault, it was that fault, it was this, it was that, it was this, it was that. I did not need Collider to tell me. I knew there was no plan. I had a hunch.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. Yeah, this whole thing is just stating the obvious. It's like, well, we didn't have a plan.
It's
Oh,
like,
really?
how is this news? Okay, let's be serious here. Force Awakens, didn't like it, but I thought it was okay. Last Jedi, I thought was better. Come at me if you will. I don't care. I thought Last Jedi was better. Had some problems, but what saved it for me was seeing Yoda again. That's really what got me there. I was crying in the theater. How could you not? It was Frank Oz, man.
Yeah, it's not
him.
just it's not just any Yoda. It's like legit Frank Oz puppet Yoda. It's the big comeback of that character.
The scrolls. How could you? Ooh, read them, you will. No, I didn't. Page turners, they were not. I can't do Yoda that well. It sounds like Grover. Rise of Skywalker, I have interesting experience. I took my mother to that one because she's big on Star Wars. She's really, really big on Star Wars. So it was me and her, and we were just looking at each other at some of the plot twists and everything. And right when it was over, I asked her, there's this show called The Mandalorian. Would you like to check it out? And her reaction, oh, I never want to see anything Star Wars related again. They ruined it. How dare they? How could they? There's a happy ending, folks. A year later, she did see The Mandalorian and she loved it. So there you go. It's interesting because people are going back to the original trilogy and saying there was a plan in mind. Everything was set in stone. It's like, not quite, because when I was doing research for Return of the Jedi, I found out that originally Jedi was going to be 2 movies. It was going to be 4 films, and that's it. But at the very last minute, when they were doing scripting for Jedi, Lucas decided to cram so many elements into Jedi to make it one pure movie. And when you think about it, yeah, it does make sense. But the way they pull it off at least works. It feels like a conclusion. Is it perfect? Not 100%. I mean, you have the Jabba the Hutt sequence, all that stuff. But for the most part, it does feel like a conclusion. It feels like an actual end. So at least they took what they originally planned and they did something with it. Now, in some cases, not having a plan can kind of sort of work, like the Indiana Jones movies. And this is true. When Lucas was talking to Spielberg, when they were doing Raiders, he said, oh yeah, I got some stories in mind. I got everything all planned out and stuff. And then when Raiders was a big hit, Spielberg looked at him and said, okay, what do you got? Come on, give me the next story. And he said, yeah, about that. Beep, boop, beep, boop, boop, boop. Hello, Willard Yuck. Writer of American Graffiti. Can you and your wife help me out on Temple of Doom? And they later did Howard the Duck. The end. True story, by the way. Well, not the whole phone call thing, but they later did that. So in some cases, when you start off with step 1 and make your movie and it's a big hit, there comes the big question of now what? And it's what direction you can take your character in, what direction you go from here. And, I did some writing on the side. I've written a couple of novels, not yet published. But it's always important to have a backup plan. It's always important to have all these different stories. How far can you take your character and stretch that out? And with the sequel trilogy, it really feels like they didn't know what they were doing. And again, I'm not surprised by this news at all, because this is what I felt like watching all 3 films in that sequential order. They tried to get the fans back with something familiar but different. They tried the second film where it went in a different direction and no one liked it. So they said, how are we going to do this? Third movie, let's do the same thing we did with the first one. It's clear that nothing was set out in stone, and that's the important thing. You set things out in stone, and if something doesn't work, you make a little alteration. You at least do some kind of change, not to cater the fans, but for yourself. It's clear they just made these movies because they had a big IP and want to do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
what really frustrates me. And if you like the sequel trilogy, fine. I don't hate it, but that's why I can't find myself going, yeah, I can look back upon this and revisit a couple of times because nothing was set in stone. I'm more fascinated by the mess than what came out of it. It's a train wreck, but an incredible one.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I would say I would lie if I said that I did not enjoy The Rise of Skywalker at all, because it does have its points where the action scenes are a lot of fun and it is visually stunning to look at. But other than that, in terms of the story of what they try to set up, it's a massive disaster. And I'm a bit on your side as well with the whole sequel trilogy in general, where, yeah, the first one, The Force Awakens, like, it's a good build up of what they have done. While they did copy a little too much of A New Hope, like, it's good. It was a pretty solid setup for what would be to come. The second one, The Last Jedi, I would say is probably the best of the three because it's the only one where it truly feels like it's trying to be its own thing, where it's trying to tell its own Star Wars story. It's not perfect. It has some issues, but at least it's trying to be its own like its own Star Wars
Narrative.
story that isn't like that isn't trying to be like the other Star Wars films.
Yeah, it's the Sugarland in space. The Sugarland Express in space.
Exactly.
Minus Goldie Hawn, it's Carrie Fisher.
And then you got The Rise of Skywalker, where you could tell that the focus is not trying to tell a story. It really does feel like the focus is trying to please everyone as possible, to try to cater every person that they could find, like to make sure they get their slice of pie. But it ultimately... Where the fridge are you going, Morgan?
Sorry, I needed Pez.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Ah, pork. Yeah, exactly. How can you hate a movie with pork? But
It only works with Chewie. It only works with Chewie. I was ready to hate these things, but then when I saw them going back and forth with Chewie, it's like, okay, they went with the Tom and Jerry dynamic. I love it.
Oh yeah. But then you got the third one, yeah, where they try to please everyone, but it really is a case of trying to please everyone, but ended up pleasing no one. Where they try to do so many things. It's like, okay, let's do it for the old, let's add some references for the old Star Wars fans. Let's try to retcon some plot elements for the Last Jedi haters. Oh, let's add in a few little extra things like two girls kissing, like for the progressive people. How about we add in like Rey and Kylo kissing for the Reylo scene? Like they add in so many things that, like, for the big picture, just does not make sense whatsoever, including like not just with the Kylo and Rey kiss, but also like the whole plot twist of like that
Emperor
apparently
Palpatine
Emperor
is a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic brought back to life.
not just Palpatine, but also like the fact that Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter. Like that is just something that came right out of nowhere, and it really did feel like it's just like so many different ideas coming together, and the whole focus feels more like trying to please people and trying to cater to fan service than actually telling a legit narrative, trying to conclude the story of what Force Awakens and The Last Jedi set up. It just
give it 7 years. They'll do a special edition where they'll mention in ADR that Palpatine had a one night stand with a Bothan. That's how they got. No.
Yeah, you never know.
You have such a good point. It's like, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna climb Mount Everest, don't just do it for people. Do it for you. If you believe in the material, if you really want to go out and do this and relive it, do it. Don't just do it because the fan demand is there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just doing it because you got a popular thing in your hands and think to yourself, okay, now I got to do something with this, it's not going to come out good. because then you'll be listening to too many voices, you listen to too many heads, you don't know who to go to. Another example I can think of is when Peter Jackson did The Hobbit. There was a plan and set, and then when Guillermo del Toro left, it's a long, complicated story, he was given this thing that he had no vision for. Absolutely zero no vision, but he tried to work with it because it was what he had. I could rattle off so many films that had that problem. Alien 3, Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, which I'm reviewing, by the way. Smart way to plug that in.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid. So it's always important that when you're going into these projects that there is a coherent ABC plan. Because if there's not, you're going to be left with this.
Yeah, and like now, yeah, and by the way, this is not trying to go and encourage more of that typical Star Wars hate, saying that Disney is evil or that like Kathleen Kennedy is the worst human being in existence. Because like nowadays, like we can see that like Disney, Lucasfilm, and Kathleen Kennedy, they all have great potential to still make great Star Wars content to this day. Just take a look at Disney Plus, and you see stuff like The Mandalorian, and like I even heard some good stuff about the new series, The Bad Batch. Like those ones, like considering they are TV shows, that like they have no choice but to actually have a plan to tell a long narrative story through different pieces. Like that's what happens when like you have the Star Wars nowadays having a plan. They still have great potential, and plus the fact that you do have filmmakers that do have the creative control and that they actually do care about the property that they do have. With the sequel trilogy, that's just like Disney excitedly playing with their new toy that they have no idea how to play with it. Like, it's just nowadays, we are thankful they do have the instruction manual, they read through it, and now they know how to play it properly. But it's just, you could tell that with the whole sequel trilogy in general, they were just too excited to, like, just show off the fact that they have the Star Wars movies. Now, granted, I will say, though, that as disastrous as Rise of Skywalker is, I wouldn't say that it is the worst thing that ever came out of Star Wars. Like, there are still a lot worse stuff, like the holiday specials.
Don't you dare just be Arthur, man.
and then also you do have like other movies that are way worse, like Attack of the Clones, or even the 2008 Clone Wars movie, which I still stand as the worst Star Wars film for how boring it is.
I'm surprised you haven't brought up the TV Ewok movies, unless you haven't seen them.
No, I haven't seen them, honestly.
Oh, Caravan of Courage and Battle for Endor. Caravan's interesting because that's directed by John Cordy, who did Twice Upon a Time.
Oh.
There's a lot of polarizing things about that one, but the majority says it's a pretty boring movie narrated by the snowman of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They get burl lives, man.
Yeah, aren't they on Disney Plus now, though? Like,
yes.
Like a part of the like the vintage Star Wars things. Yeah.
Good start so far. Now give me the droid series. Come on, I want to hear the police theme again in HD. Trouble again.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So this is just to say, like, the sequel trilogy is not the worst, but it really shows that like Disney was like the biggest thing that Disney was guilty of is that they were not being careful over something that they really should, because you got to keep in mind we are talking about Star Wars. This is one of the biggest like pop culture franchises of all time, where like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have dedicated their entire lives to. Like, there are a lot of people out there whose lives is literally nothing but Star Wars, and that like whatever like George Lucas or whatever Disney would put up on screen, that's like their Bible. That's like their scripture right there. Like if ever like Star Wars becomes good or if Star Wars becomes bad, like they will take that very personally. So if you end up poorly handling something like Star Wars, they will take massive offense to it, and yeah, like you'll see them rage more than they probably should. Almost like they'll probably rage in the same levels as if like Disney killed their parents or something, but for them, Star Wars is their entire lives. And that, yeah, like Yeah, you know, it is stupid to see like this toxicity of the Star Wars fan base, but
Yeah.
there is a side where I do kind of understand because that's their lives. Like that's like a big percentage of their identity is nothing but Star Wars.
And it's not just Star Wars. Every fan base is going to have that either small or big margin of toxicity. I mean, Doctor Who. I could go down the list of what happened to that show, but Star Wars is so recognizable on the planet. That's the problem. It is one of those IP franchise properties that's so easily recognizable. It's constantly referenced, constantly parodied, so obviously when you done goof something up, the planet is going to yell back at you.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with those movies. And I mean, yeah, they have Disney did regain some of their trust a bit because of like The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch and the Disney Plus stuff, but for next time when they do go back making Star Wars movies again, which I think will be in a few years, like they got to be careful with the comeback.
Yeah, I'd say don't try and make another installment of the sequels. Do a spin-off. I liked
Mhm.
those more, surprisingly. I
Yeah, like
know
with Rogue
people are
One, that
split on
wasn't bad.
those. Yeah, they weren't half bad. I mean, Rogue One was fine, and I got a soft spot for Solo, even though it has some problems.
So, well, Solo is kind of like an exception. That's like
A small exception.
that's like an entire wacky story right
Yeah.
there.
How is Darth Maul? How is Darth Maul alive, Mommy? It's called the Expanding Universe. Read it online.
Yeah.
Uh,
Here, have
his hate
have
was
this
so great. He was able
here,
to
have
do
this season of Clone Wars. That'll explain it for you.
I don't buy it. I saw that guy fall down a shaft. I was there. I was there when I was 9 years old at baseball games,
You
and
saw
people
both.
and kids at the dugouts be saying how cool it was seeing Darth Maul die and fall down a shaft while being cut in half. Do not deny me of that guy's death. But he was alive on screen. Shut up, Timmy. Uh,
I understand it,
yeah.
but
I need
yeah.
to eat another porg.
Oh yeah, it's just overall, it feels like, yeah, it's a lesson that should be learned, but it's such an obvious lesson, especially from someone like J.J. Abrams, who is already a massively established director who has already worked on multiple franchises, and yet now you're telling us that, maybe we should learn about like planning things out. It's like, how is it that you're this successful and only now you learn about the importance of planning out,
And
especially
that's not
after
the first
working
time.
on Star Wars?
That's the first time. Before that, there was Star Trek,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, that mess
he
with
did
Star Trek.
fine with the first one, and then Into Darkness happened, and now history has repeated itself. Only it's times 300.
Yeah, all this did, honestly, it's like I think more than anything, it really damages the trust of J.J. Abrams more than
I don't
anything.
I don't hate the guy, but at the same
Hmm.
time, I do have problems. If you're gonna do something completely new or reinvent, at least do something in a different direction. It's okay to have a callback to earlier installments. It's okay to have like a little cameo by a Tribble or something. But if you're gonna rehash and reuse similar plot threads, do it different. Don't just copy it beat for beat. That's my biggest issue with Abrams. It seems like his case of revisiting things is literally re-microwaving the first movie and saying, here.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
only time where I can think of where it worked perfectly was Super 8, because that was a pure Spielbergian tribute, but it was perfectly done. Because at least it wasn't reusing E.T. or Close Encounters. It was doing something
Yeah.
different with that stuff.
Yeah, it's like he's pretty much the kind of director where he works a little bit better with like original things than actually like already existing properties, because like at least with something like Super 8, it's not like he can go into like an older Super 8 adaptation and like reheat that thing in the microwave.
Yeah, well, now we got Stranger Things, so oops, no sequel.
Oh well.
I like Super 8. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, I should watch it. A lot of people have recommended that to me, especially to see Elle Fanning's performance. Like,
It
I heard she was actually pretty good in there.
it's a solid movie up until maybe the last 20 or 15 minutes. I won't say too much, but for what it is, if you just want a grittier version of the Goonies, it's worth checking out.
All right, fair enough.
It's just some kids making a movie and some bad stuff happen.
All right, so with that said, I'd like to go and talk to the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about J.J. Abrams' confession about maybe he should have planned things better with the Star Wars trilogy? Do you feel like that he probably should have? Did you enjoy the Star Wars sequel trilogy as is? Let me know what you think on this.
And we promise we won't read these comments in funny voices. We respect your opinion.
Yeah, we will, but it won't be in a way that will mock them. Don't worry.
At least, what do we got here?
Let's see. Personally, I can agree with how the sequel trilogy turned out. Although I think as individual films they work, but as a trilogy, it falls flat on its face. At least with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige of Marvel Studios and Disney had a plan on where the MCU would go, and it paid off beautifully for the Infinity Saga and ended amazingly with Endgame. Let's see now. Okay.
I will withhold my opinion on those two.
Settle down, Morgan. Settle down. Take it easy.
I freaking hate Endgame for the time travel stuff.
Oh dear. Anyways, I like the sequels fine, but they are still very low tier compared to the originals and debatably the prequels. Even if I didn't like them, the way I see The Force Awakens is that it's more of an experiment than just a pure cash grab, kind of like Maleficent 1. It was something Disney wanted to do and see if they could try to make their own Star Wars movie by purchasing Lucasfilm. Even some of the crew members felt like the other sequels were highly rushed. Okay. Well, let's see. I knew there was something going on, stating that Disney and Abrams had no plan for this sequel trilogy at all. They should have had one director to direct all three movies to stay consistent, that's it. But nope, it ended up pleasing no one at all. I like Force Awakens enough, but the latter two I feel mixed on. Stick to the one director for the sequel trilogy next time. Well, I don't know if I would say like you should have just one director for these sequels and that's it. Like maybe like have a like a creative like brain trust or have like a writing crew that is consistently the same thing. But just going with one director and that like for a trilogy and that's it. I mean, like I get what you mean, but I'm not saying that's like the opposite would be a terrible idea either.
Yeah, I mean, the original trilogy had different directors helming each entry, and yet at the same time, it felt like you were watching a continuation because you had Lucas entrusting certain people to take his vision and put it to life. And that was all the more interesting. So even if they had Irving Kershner do Empire, it still felt like you were watching a continuation of A New Hope. Though in hindsight, I kind of would have been like if David Lynch did Return of the Jedi, but because of Dune, that never happened. Almost did. Instead, we got the director from Until September.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, even like with the Toy Story movies, like that's also another example. I mean, you had John Lasseter working on the first and the second, but then you got Lee Unkrich, who was an editor of those movies, coming in for Toy Story 3.
Well, that's who did the third one.
Yeah, and then you got Josh Cooley. I believe it's Josh Cooley who came in to do the fourth movie, and they all feel like the same. Like they all feel like they're a part of the same world as well.
Yeah, because they had crew members and people that worked in the previous installments, so they had something of a sense to at least continue that universe and expand and elaborate, and that's important too. Because when you have someone in the previous context of those entries, it's important because at least you have someone that has a good idea of how to handle these things, but in some cases that may or may not work.
Exactly. Let's see. I don't really hate the sequel trilogy. I actually enjoy watching them. If they do have some problems that don't really stand out from the original trilogy, I guess J.J. Abrams doesn't realize what he is doing because, yeah, he didn't really have a plan of the movies that the two movies that he directed. The only thing that movie makers really need are visions that make the movie so good, and J.J. Abrams didn't while making those two movies. And what did everyone think of Bad Batch if they've seen it?
I've not seen it yet, given how recent it was.
Yeah, me neither,
Oh,
honestly.
let's see here. I've never been the biggest Star Wars fan to begin with, and a lot of my fellow colleagues in art school picked on me for that. Oh, man, really? After
Aw.
the direction that the recent movies have been going and the responses from the toxic fan base, I can only be glad I never had enough investment in the franchise to get caught up in all that drama. It's one less thing I need to lose sleep over. I just hope future directors don't repeat Abrams' mistakes. That's actually kind of unfortunate too. To say you're someone that has no idea what this franchise is. You have absolutely completely neutral to it. And yet you see the outside of it, the reaction and everything. That can sometimes affect it. Because what could be is, well, knowing the sequel trilogy now, because you're missing out on like an experience on not just the sequel, but even the stuff before that. Because it's always important to have that gravitation. Um, so if you focus, that's why I try not to focus on the reception of a film as much, even though in some cases they could be right or wrong.
Hmm.
But it's kind of a shame because sometimes you miss out on that experience with certain things like Ray Harryhausen movies. They're beautiful films, but you never know. You may or may not like them until you actually pop it in and take a look. That's why I always try to at least do a recommendation. Like, if you like this, great. If you don't like this, well, there's always this and that.
Yeah, not to mention on the age of the internet where like a lot of people always act like they know everything or like they know
Mhm.
all that they need to know, and like stubbornness can be on the massive rise where they think they can figure everything out. Like for example, recently with Cruella. Like this might be
Oh,
minor sport. Have you seen it yet, Morgan?
I've heard of the things, the many, many things,
Yeah,
and at the
like
same time, I'm trying to be as neutral as I can. But I stop at death by Dalmatians. I
yeah.
won't say who or how, but I will say death by Dalmatian. Why?
Yeah, like there's a lot of people out there like yeah, I doubt like most people have seen Cruella yet, but like
Mm.
so far like it's already getting a lot of like negative reception for the fact that it is number one a Disney live action remake, and you know the reputation of those, and also
Oh,
of
yarp.
that particular scene as well that is making its rounds and it's being viral on social media that is really getting like that's really giving Cruella a bad word of mouth. But does that reflect on the movie itself? Like, does that reflect on the movie entirely? Not necessarily. That will have to require for you to actually see the movie itself, and that's when you would have to know is it actually worth it and is it not? Because like maybe there is more than the like death by Dalmatian scenes. You just never know.
As long as Jasper and Horace are done fine, that's right. And by the by, number one, I've not seen Quella yet. I'm curious but cautious. Number two, that's the problem because some receptions and reputations can hurt the legacy of a movie. Dino De Laurentiis had King Kong from 1976. They wanted that movie to be as successful as Jaws. It was successful, but not as successful as Jaws. And so for decades, that film got slammed the most because they thought, oh, it was a box office bomb when it came out. No, it didn't. It did fine. It recouped its budget back twice through its first release and NBC TV rights. Seriously, it got back its 19 million budget twice. So how can you not look by that? But it's like, oh yeah, there's repeated viewings of videos and cult following, but it's always important to look past the reception and just focus on what's presented in front of you in an art gallery. Because who
Hmm.
knows? You could look at the Mona Lisa as a masterpiece or just some woman standing there and either smiling or giving a little smirk.
Or how small the painting is compared to the large crowds that it gathers.
That is a good quote.
Exactly.
Mm.
I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next one. This explains everything with Rise of Skywalker, but for real, J.J. Abrams is now just realizing having a plan is a good thing. Let me just say, yeah, no Jack Diddley crap, bro. Honestly, I feel like the responsibility of the entire trilogy should have been given to Rian Johnson, since he made what in my opinion is the best of the trilogy. If you ask me, the entire plan should have been 3 movies of nothing but Bill Murray singing. Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. I mean, Bill Murray would have significantly improved the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I don't know how, but just put...
You dare reference that SNL sketch? The lounge singer? Just get away from me. Oh, man.
Yes.
I needed that.
Alright, so the next story that we have here, Morgan, well, we got a movie that's coming up, and I'm scared. That's all I could really say, is that this is coming, and coming much sooner, which honestly I'm a bit afraid, because it's coming in at ramming speed, and it's coming in a pretty surprising way as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Boss Baby 2.
Yep, the Boss Baby is back, baby!
Oh my
Yes!
God.
And I have Peacock. Come on.
Yes.
The free version. Oh.
Yes, folks. Universal has made the massive announcement that not only is the Boss Baby family business going to be coming in earlier than planned, because originally it was supposed to be released on September 17th, but now they are moving up the release date to July 2nd. But they are also going to take a page from Disney and Warner Brothers that they are going to be releasing the Boss Baby family business both in theaters and on Peacock, Universal's streaming service.
It's approaching at alarming speeds.
Which is a bit of a surprising move, and it is going to be the first time that Universal is going to be doing that with their feature film, so it might be the first of a possible experimentation that they might do. Also, I do have a bit of a quote here, which will be from the chairman of Direct-to-Consumer and International at NBC Universal, Matt Strauss, in which he states, Our Peacock subscribers love movies, so we are thrilled to be expanding our relationship with the UFEG and to offer Peacock consumers this premium content for one of the industry's most beloved animation brands. DreamWorks animation films from Trolls World Tour to Shrek and beyond are among Peacock's top-performing titles to date, and we're certain that the Boss Baby family business is sure to become the summer's ultimate streaming event. So that's pretty much the big thing, is that they're bringing the Boss Baby both in theaters and Peacock. Morgan, how do you feel?
Let's take Boss Baby out of the equation here. Just for a moment, because I don't want to talk about that movie. Okay, the first film wasn't bad. It had its moments, but there was a lot of it that disturbed me.
It's not bad. What?
It's not bad. There's some funny things in there. I liked the goon disguising himself as the Mary Poppins maid. At least that got me through some of it. And there's a line or two that's kind of funny. Here we have a movie that's being tour de force as a next move. It's being released to theaters. It's being released on a streaming platform. This is kind of the new age right now. And this is something that I believe I mentioned eons ago. But then again, it's been over a year, so what the hell? Here we are at another case where they're trying to reinvent the wheel, do something different. There's a movie, it's upcoming. How do we give it the big push? Let's release it simultaneously. So that way everyone has a big chance and a choice to see it at home and in theaters, especially how things are lining up right now. This is not an entirely new thing, nor is it a completely new model, but at the same time, it's the movie you're releasing, man. That's really what it varies. If it was the lost reel of Greed, or at least a new Indiana Jones movie, that'd be one thing. But of course, it has to be a family animated movie that at least has some appeal towards white audiences. wide audiences. I hate being tongue-tied. Um,
You're telling
so
me. Oh my god, I often get tongue-tied here.
yes, that's how I mispronunciate names. Um, how is that different though from how Disney's releasing their movies? We got Luca from Pixar, and it's a shame it's going straight to streaming. I would love to see that in theaters. It looks beautiful. The animation looks bright and vibrant and colorful, and the premise does sound interesting. It's Creature from the Black Lagoon, but done in the 1950s Italy. I would love to see that in theaters, but the fact it's only going to streaming is kind of a problem. Uh, but here you have this movie, and it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to release it simultaneously. I'm not trying to knock it down and say they're just writing it off and just dumping it, because that's not the case. At least they're doing something with it. But at the same time, it's Boss Baby 2. How is that? Uh, God, I can't. I just the TV spots. It just does. I'm sorry. It just doesn't look something I. It does not look like something I want to see. Maybe someone else will, but it's like I don't want to take that chance of guessing. And here's what irks me. Here's what really irks me, and I'm trying to be like really calm here. Really, you're trying to make this the next summer event film? Dude, you cannot predict lightning. Back in 1981, they did a survey poll seeing what was going to be the next big summer movie, and everyone was hoping it was going to be Superman 2. No joke. You know what it turned out to be? Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Raiders was not highly anticipated. Paramount pushed the hell out of the marketing on that film. That's why it was such a big hit, because they realized, oh, we don't want the Man of Steel to be the big movie of 1981. Let's have a gala premiere with elephants and all sorts of stuff. You can't predict, man. At least go out there, give it attention, do all you can. But if you're going to say it's the next big ticket of the summer, you don't want to end up with another Last Action Hero. And I don't want to describe Boss Baby 2 as Last Action Hero, because at least I have a soft spot for that movie. I got the goddamn steelbook right over here. Whoa, almost destroyed my Brady glass. See what you maybe do here, Boss Baby 2. Just,
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, yes, it is true that like you can't really predict the future with these things, but then again, nobody could ever predict that the Boss Baby would make more than $500 million and get an Oscar nomination. So
Yep.
that's probably what's motivating them to say that it is a major summer event.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree with you where, like, it seems like a pretty stupid decision that out of all the movies, it's the Boss Baby that it's trying to really go and push to do this whole, like, theater and streaming thing. Like, you'd think that they would start off with something that would be really big, like, with...
Well, no.
With Fast and Furious 9 to really jumpstart this whole campaign to really get it going, especially for a streaming service like Peacock, which has yet to really establish itself like as a competitor. But then again, there's apparently the same amount of people who subscribe to Peacock as much as there would be for people who subscribe to Hulu and Hulu and HBO Max. Now, Paramount Plus doesn't have as much, actually. I checked the numbers. Apparently, as of right now, there's about 36 million that subscribe to Paramount, while Peacock has around 42 million.
Whoa.
I know. I'm surprised as well.
I think I know why, because of the content. I mean, when you're going to advertise and say ET's for free, you're going to jump over there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because of the memberships and the subscribers, but even then, is Boss Baby 2 going to be a premium exclusive, or is it going to be openly available? That's my curiosity.
That one they did not clarify, surprisingly. But the thing is... But... Here's the thing, though. I think, honestly, the more I think about it, the more that it kind of makes sense why they would pick the Boss Baby 2 for this. Like, yeah, it doesn't seem like it would be much to go and do it with Boss Baby, but that's kind of the point. It's not that big of a risk. It's the exact same thing like what they did last year with Trolls World Tour. Because that's the one that is because that is the movie that pretty much kickstarted going rogue from theaters and just releasing it straight at home. So from there, they wanted to experiment to see if it would work out, and ultimately that paid off to the point of completely changing how movies are distributed today. And for The Boss Baby, they want to try to experiment with that one to see if people would be willing to go to the theaters and try it out on Peacock as well, like in order to drive more viewership on that. Like they're not going to risk it with something that is too major.
No, like
with
Jurassic Park, Jurassic World 3.
There's
so much money pumped into that thing. You don't want to waste it on something like that.
Yeah, like they don't want to waste it on either like Fast and Furious or Jurassic World or even Minions. They know they don't want to risk that because they're delaying that movie for like 2 whole freaking years. So with The Boss Baby,
it's gonna be interesting to see when that one comes out because last year they had the cereal out. I remember looking at these boxes going, oh yeah, that was supposed to come out in the summer. How sad.
Yeah, like I remember seeing like a bunch of toys that they're kind of like spoilers of the movie because I remember seeing some of those toys and they do spoil that it is going to be like a Bruce Lee style Chinese kung fu movie.
Good luck with the cancel culture, folks. No. What was I gonna say? If it were me, I would do it with a smaller independent film, at least something simple. Like a good example is last year they had Bill and Ted 3. They had that in theaters. They had that going to premium on demand, and even though that was released at a time when the pandemic was affecting theaters, it still did pretty well because it had a small budget. It was well done. There was positive word of mouth. And I'm not saying based on those judgments alone stuff, but there was no prediction that it would either do good or bad. It did good, not great, but at least enough to be considered successful in a sense. So I'm a little curious to see what direction they're going to take in if this does well or does not do well, because it's such a 50-50 chance at this point.
But it's not going to be a massive risk because it's The Boss Baby. The thing is that if they worst case scenario, it wouldn't be necessarily as bad. And plus the fact that technically they are in a zone where, it's going to be a massive battlefield because, it is the middle of the summer. But for the type of audience that it's targeting, it's pretty much free reign and, it's got everything covered.
Open market, man.
Yeah, it's a full-on open market. The most that they would have in terms of competitors is going to be later on in a few weeks where it would be facing against, Space Jam and Hotel Transylvania. And that's pretty much going to be it. So with The Boss Baby, maybe there'll be some money that they could make either in theaters or in Peacock, but overall this is just an experiment and it's not going to be a high risk for them, but they're pretty much taking the same approach as they are with Trolls World Tour.
I mean, who knows? It could be good or bad. And thank you for mentioning 3 movies in the same sentence I have 0 interest for. The more I see I know we're not talking about Space Jam 2, but the more I see the character design posters for the Goon Squad, I can't. I just can't. I don't want to say it's a movie doomed to fail, but I'm interested to see how everyone's going to react when it comes out.
Oh, honestly, if I would make a prediction, I think it's gonna fail no matter what. But that's not what people are gonna see. They just want to see it for the whole gimmick.
Yep, it's Boss Baby 2. It's one of those lesser movies that doesn't really have much of a big high demand for, so it's quite obvious they're gonna give it that release treatment. If it was an IP or property that was even higher than that, it would be interesting to see if they gave it that kind of release treatment. But when you pump so much money and effort and funding into something like that, you don't want to just drop it and say, here. So this is going to be one interesting summer, I can say that much.
Yeah, that is true. In fact, I think I just thought about a movie that it would have been a bit of a step up in terms of its popularity. That could actually be more effective to test things out. Sing 2. That's supposed to be coming out at the end of this year. I
That
think
was okay.
that could actually be a legitimate one that they could test out in terms of trying to see if it would work out, like releasing it both in theaters and on Peacock.
I actually wouldn't mind that. I thought that film was fine.
That would be more of an interesting thing to experiment, other than the freaking Boss Baby, which the word of mouth so far isn't all that great. And seeing the trailer of it, it's like, what the hell is even happening?
One look at the teaser poster, I'm just thinking to myself, get me the bleach quick.
Oh, the teaser poster! Oh my god!
Please, no.
I
no.
almost
Spare.
forgot.
Spare your viewers. Spare
It's
your
already
viewers.
here, man. Too late.
No. God,
Oh
no.
god! I remember seeing this teaser poster, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Just...
Out of all the freaking times that you would go and do the DreamWorks face, it's the freaking Alec Baldwin baby giving me the goo goo eyes, giving me bedroom eyes, like even with his socks that I don't know, there's just so much wrong with this.
Please give Alec Baldwin another season of Match Game. He'll be good.
Yeah. Oh god. And I don't think the tagline. Yeah, I don't think the tagline helps out either. Like, I love casual Fridays. It's like, oh really? You do? How casual are you talking about? Because there's nothing about this that's casual. Not even the title is casual.
It's so hard to avert my eyes when my cell phone is right on the table.
I know, man.
Okay, I'm good. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the most cursed things that DreamWorks has ever produced. It's just that poster of like seductive Boss Baby.
I think this pez is stale. Oh.
Oh dear God! But
who
yeah,
designed that?
I don't know, but
You complain about the Australian marketing for the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so them jumping out of exploding building,
yeah.
but not that. That should be banned.
Oh my god, yeah, I agree with you there. But if you are that curious to know how the Boss Baby is going, then mark your calendars on July 2nd, because because we're gonna celebrate the 4th of July with freaking diapers.
I like how in the press release they say you have the freedom to choose whether to see this in theaters or not. I also have the freedom to see a different movie, thank you very much.
That is true. You can have the freedom to not see the movie.
Or just go to a theater that's reissuing Independence Day. There you go.
That could be an option.
Yeah.
Alright, so with that said, let's go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about about Universal's plan of releasing The Boss Baby 2 both in theaters and on Peacock? Do you think this is going to be a strategy that will work? Are you interested in seeing The Boss Baby, and if so, which platform are you going to check it out on? Let me know what you all think.
Oh wow, I never considered this. Well crap, how can I see Boss Baby 2 now? Peacock is not available where I live, and my country is once again on a big lockdown due to folks wanting the vaccine the same way some McDonald's geeks want Szechuan sauce, thus we are getting a lot more cases of the bug. I will avoid joking about that one. We don't joke about the Szechuan sauce pandemic. Because of this, I cannot see this in theaters. I don't hate the first movie. Admittedly, I am curious to see Boss Baby 2, sure the posters are bad, but I still want to check out nevertheless. That's a good point. How many countries actually have access to some of these streaming apps? Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, that is true, because like even in Canada, I don't think we even have Peacock, and we definitely don't have HBO Max. But there is a way that we would go around it. Like for example, with some of the HBO Max releases, what they would do is that instead they would just release it directly on digital, and we would have to just pay a $20 rental fee in order to check it out. So there could be that option that they could go for those respective countries. But other than that, though, yeah, that is kind of a good question, and good luck even finding access to that.
Man, oh man. I never thought of that.
Let's see. I never care, bother, nor watch the first film, so this sequel is not going to do it for me. I am still a little salty that the Oscars shoved Captain Underpants out of the way to nominate The Boss Baby. I have no interest in seeing the sequel, and instead, I would just stick with movies that I am going to see at home in this summer, like Raya, Luca, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines.
Oh, Mitchell's vs. the Machines. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A
It's
little
also
too long, but it was good.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad. Like Sony really is going on this trend of just like throwing all their movies onto Netflix. Like
So is Leica Entertainment, but that's a whole different scenario.
Leica, really?
Yeah, they made a deal with, I think, I could be right or wrong, but I could have sworn they made a deal with Netflix or some streaming app to create content for them. I don't know if it's movie or TV show related, but I could have sworn I read an article about it.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, Leica, I could understand because
hmm,
lately their movies have been like plummeting at the box office. So at
yeah.
least that way, a streaming service would give them a proper platform. Same with Aardman or any stop motion features. Lately, they've not been doing well at the box office, so that I can understand. But with Sony, however, the fact that they had 4 movies scheduled for 2021 and sold most of them to Netflix and only
Mhm.
on Netflix, while giving movie theaters the short end of the stick of Hotel Transylvania 4 without Adam Sandler, like, yeah, that is kind of a bit of a dick move. And again, like, I've asked this a few times before in this podcast, but it does make me wonder how movie theaters feel about Sony Animation's recent move with that.
Oh, no, wait, I take that back. It's not Netflix, it was Shout Factory.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
they have a distribution deal to cover their next 4 films, and apparently they're doing a live action adaptation on a book called 17 by John Brownlow.
Hmm,
Hmm.
interesting. Let's see. Personally, I am actually not surprised that Universal would do this, considering how there are so many companies are putting their films both in theaters and on streaming services at the same time. So far, the strategy is working. Also, it wouldn't surprise me if Paramount Plus could potentially do this with films like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or Top Gun Maverick. Also, I don't know if you've heard, but Disney is going to be doing the theater and premium access thing with the Jungle Cruise movie. Yes, I have heard of that, actually. And I mean, I guess it really shows that, like, honestly, that's one thing I really want to know is the numbers of what Raya and the Last Dragon did, because it looks like
Same.
yeah, it looks like the strategy is working so well if they are willing to do that with Cruella, Black Widow especially, and the Jungle Cruise. So
Yeah,
I want to know, like, did Raya become a big success on Disney Plus?
that is a good question. Back then in the 1960s, when they had the roadshow film era, a lot of movies under that format were doing very well. So obviously, studios jumped onto that format. But the problem is that back then that didn't do very well because of the kinds of movies they were sending out. So in today's age, it's really a case of, well, what's popular and what's going to work under that session. I don't remember repeating any similar comments, but you get the idea. This is going to be interesting moving forward, what they're going to do with some of their films.
Mm-hmm. And I'll go and read one more comment before we jump into the finale. I'm taking Luke.
Defined finale.
Oh, it's a grand finale
I
for
got some
sure.
huge choice words. Go ahead and read your comment,
Anyways,
Monkey Boy.
I'm taking Luca and Space Jam 2 over Boss Baby 2. Black Widow, Quiet Place 2, Boss Baby being sold as a summer event movie. No, I'm not interested in the Boss Baby. Now, if there's a movie sequel Peacock should promote is Rise of the Guardians 2. But because it bombed, it'll never happen. So much potential. Boss Baby is being oversold by Peacock as something people want. Most of us don't want it, and nobody really wants to get another streaming service to watch it. Then again, 500 million, more than $500 million at the box office, and a popular show on Netflix. Let's add that to the equation as well. So, yeah, like, you can hate it, but there are some people who do want it.
Yeah, you can't argue with that, unfortunately. Just
Mhm.
because it's a success doesn't mean it's great or good.
Exactly. And with that said, it is now time for the grand finale. And oh boy, did I save quite a spectacular one for last. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun with this one, Morgan, don't you think?
Medley, do something!
I'll take that as a
rip
yes.
the Band-Aid off, man. They know what it is. I see the chat exploding.
Oh yeah, they're anticipating for it. It is now time that we shall get into this one, folks. Let's go ahead and talk about the disaster known as the Powerpuff pilot. Yes.
Get the paper bag, folks. You're gonna be projectile vomiting until Christmas.
Oh yes. The CW has went a little bit on a shopping spree and made some major decisions. Now, there are some shows that they did pick up, including shows such as Naomi, All American Homecoming, as well as another one, I believe. Just want to double check which one that was. But anyways, I'll get... Oh yeah, here it is. It's the straight to series 4400. Thank you. There we go. But there are also some shows that they decided to ultimately reject, including Our Ladies of Brooklyn, which is supposed to be this millennial nun dramedy, and also Painkiller, which is said to be a Black Lightning spinoff. And on top of that, there are also a couple that they didn't pick up immediately, but they want to try to work on it to make sure it turns out good, including the Nancy Drew spinoff Tom Swift, as well as Powerpuff, the live-action, more adult, gritty reboot of the Powerpuff Girls, to which apparently they've already built a pilot for this series, but the CW ultimately decided to reject it. But that doesn't mean that they are flat out rejecting the entire idea of the show altogether. They are giving Powerpuff one more chance to go and rework on the series and to give out a better pilot, to which they have now given to Diablo Cody and Heather Regner to go and rewrite the entire script. We do have a quote here coming from the president of Warner Brothers TV Group, Channing Dungey, in which she states, we got a trio of terrific actresses at the center of that, which she is referring to Chloe Bennett, Dove Cameron, and Iana Perot. Which, by the way, it did mention that the entire cast and crew that was a part of that old pilot is still going to remain on this new pilot. They're still going to be committed to working on the show. I'm not going to say that it hasn't been a challenge. Bringing a children's cartoon into live action adulthood has been a really fine line to walk, but I think we've done a pretty great job at walking at it. Also, you may have heard on social media that there was a script that was leaked onto like Twitter, on Facebook, and all across social media. A lot of people had a bit of doubt if it was even real or not. It was possible that it was fake. But then suddenly Warner Brothers had to take it down due to copyright reasons, which kind of confirmed that, yeah, it was actually the real deal. And my God, that script that they came out... Morgan.
Did you see the pages?
Oh God, did you?
Yes.
I have, and oh Lord.
My God.
And you thought that Boss Baby poster was bad. That script, however,
it's the lesser of two evils. Alec Baldwin as a baby, or reading a page
as a seductive baby.
Yeah, please don't get me started. Damn you! Between that and Buttercup having a lesbian relationship, mind you, a scripted gag where one of the siblings checks on her and it's seemingly implied she just finished some pleasure. And her partner's in bed like, I think 6 times is good enough. Like, No. What really baffles me more is they said, we got to rework this thing because it was too campy.
Too campy.
Okay,
really?
hold the phone.
That's considered campy?
That was their excuse. They said it was too campy. Like, no. I know campy. This is not campy.
This reads like something for a porn parody, let alone. I'm glad they're reworking it. I would be kind of curious to see where it goes. I myself am not a major Powerpuff Girls enthusiast. That's my sister. She was big on the show. But I thought the show was well done. I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute. I kind of watched it more for the villains because they were the best part.
Oh yeah, of course.
Mojo Jojo, Fuzzy Lumpkins,
Mhm.
Gangrene Boys. They were so
Him.
creative and interesting. Um, the stuff with the girls was okay. It was fine. But hearing this live action adaptation, it it goes back to the Banana Splits movie, man. If you're gonna take this and put it in that direction, at least make it fun, make it interesting, or if best, do something different and original. But if you're gonna take something that was previously established and do something different with it, okay, fine, but who is it for? We almost had something similar to this with the Scooby-Doo movies. James Gunn wrote a script where, I kid you not, they're going to have Shaggy as a stoner, Daphne and Velma as lesbians and stuff like that. But then they learned that they couldn't do that, so they made the lighter version, even though some of the adult stuff made its way through somehow. The only time I think where this kind of thing almost worked for me was a rebooted version of the Flintstones, where they made it edgy and adult and surprisingly dark. I love this joke. There's a whole joke where one of the animals as an appliance mentions his life as an appliance, how he's locked in his closet until his master comes in and uses him as a vacuum or something. That's both dark and hilarious because it's tapping into.
Are you talking about the comics, by the way?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, okay.
I loved those. There's one with the end of the world and
Yeah,
one
that's one thing I remember seeing being shared around. Is like, hey, friend, another day's word. Barney, we are we committing genocide or something like that?
There's even more of Mr. Slade is like at a jacuzzi with his friends, like, you gotta check this thing out called ice cream, and his servant is a little turtle. And you see the ice cream on the turtle and slowly melting when it gets to the pool. It's like ice cream soup, and he's like, Phil, how dare you? Go away and get another bowl. And then something happens, and it pays off later, where the turtle comes back with the dessert, and Mr. Slade's just like, oh, Phil, you're the only one who understands me. Like, that works because of the character, the setup, the timing. If all you're doing to these characters, the Powerpuff Girls, if all you're doing to these characters is just making them walking, talking millennials that get into adult situations just for the sake of, oh, wouldn't it be funny if they were in this kind of thing, if it's that direction where you're doing it for the sake of thinking it's funny, reread your script. There's reason why some things work and some things don't. If you're gonna do a satire or a parody, do it from the point of view of nostalgia at the very, very least.
Yeah.
Either do it for the fans or because you think the joke works. Like National Lampoon's Animal House, that works because it's on the nostalgia of college and how we can relate to certain characters and go, oh yeah, we've had a Bluto that was a complete pig and made a food fight in the cafe. It's not because it's funny, it's because we can connect to it, we can understand it. And if you're just going to take these characters and put them in adult situations because you think it's amusing, no, just no. Why not use the characters from a point of nostalgia view? Like going through. Did you ever see that Teen Titans episode where Starlight goes through puberty and weird things happen to her? Like she grows a horn and a weird tentacle
I
mouth and
think.
stuff. That's the direction I'm talking about. If you're gonna go from the basis of being a teenager or being that kind of character, do it from that kind of angle. Brad Bird did it with The Incredibles with that fight over the remote because it's something we can connect to. Same thing with Family Dog. We're seeing the dog's point of view and how he's neglected and stuff. We understand that because we can kind of be that to our pets in a way because we're distracted by one thing or another. That's the kind of stuff I like. Relationships, comedy, understanding. If you're just using these characters for sex jokes, I hope there's more than that, but wasn't there something where Bubbles mentions about one of them revisiting their grandfather, who's like a little bit of an extremist or something.
I don't remember that in the script. I don't recall.
It's somewhere.
They have a grandfather now, or like I don't know.
Or so like I'm trying to remember who it was directed to, but they're mentioning about they had a conversation with the grandfather. They had to be careful because of some of the stuff he was saying. Man, oh man, I really do hope we get a better out of this, but at least we have a learning curve. That if something doesn't work, really think about how to improve upon it. But then I keep thinking back to things like the Red Dwarf American Pilot. They had to refilm that twice.
Oh.
Twice. And there's a whole insane story behind that. But the short version is they had two scripts. Good one, bad one. The crew liked the good one because it was closer to the show. The person directing it wanted to use the bad one. And they did. And it flopped. And it wasn't funny. So they had to go back and refilm it. And that didn't work as well. And, man, like, learn from your mistakes. Trust the funny. Trust the millions of laughs out there.
Have a plan.
Yes.
Have a
There
plan.
you go.
It's as J.J. Abrams said, it is crucial to have a plan.
I'm already imagining the title right now. A most curious, wonderful train wreck of a plan.
Oh God.
Yeah, blah, blah. This is why when I work on things, I always show a joke or a gag to a friend of mine just to see if it works, because I have to think to myself, how would this read? How would this perform? And if it's funny, it's funny. If it doesn't work, I take a step back and think, well, how can I improve on that joke? How can I make it funnier? Let's see. It's one thing to have a joke where a homeless bobcat gets struck by electricity. But what if he's on top of the roof trying to get notice some electricity because he thinks that's how you download a movie? Because electricity, internet, laptops. It's just taking one simple thing and making it more absurd. You just build off of that. And looking at these scripted pages, I don't want to be biased, but at the same time, it's a little assuring that they're going to rework it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not just chucking out to the dumpster of other failed pilots, like the Wonder Woman one they did for NBC.
All right. Yeah.
There's a Justice League one too, which I've seen clips of, and that looks pretty bad. It's you get that 1 in 2 chance where you have an idea, and it sort of works. On the other hand, the Geico Caveman Show.
Oh yeah.
And I remember that growing up.
I remember that as well.
I feel guilty because I was recording the episodes because I thought there's a gold mine here, and then later I realized, you know what, maybe not. Dumpster.
Nah. Yeah. Honestly, I remember looking into that script and like even seeing the part like the more significant parts that people highlighted. It really did feel like it's just a half-ass Robot Chicken sketch more so than a legitimate Powerpuff Girls reboot of what they want to try to do. It really is just taking the Powerpuff Girls and just throw in a whole bunch of like random sex jokes and like a bunch of like current millennial gags just so it could be like current and funny and think like in a way try to make the Powerpuff Girls edgy in a sense.
I think I found the line.
Oh,
Bubbles. I'll paraphrase it so we don't get DMC'd.
okay.
Blossom is doing fine. I saw her Instagram post that she has a boyfriend. I also saw on her LinkedIn page that she got a promotion. And I saw on Facebook that she still has conversations with Grandpa despite them having political differences. Buttercup. Coming back here is probably triggering for her. Bubbles.
Oh, that thing.
Why? Because she's the one who killed Mojo? I mean, MoveOn.org.
Oh yeah, that thing. It's like
That's the one.
yeah, that. Oh yeah, there's also that. Oh my god, yeah. It's true. It's like
Wake up or leak your nudes everywhere. What?
Yeah, that's always that really is the biggest thing. It's that it's just throwing in a bunch of like millennial gags and a bunch of sex jokes. It's like, get it? Because it's the Powerpuff Girls and now we're implying sex with them because they're adults now. Like
Yes.
it really is like just constantly grabbing nothing but low-hanging fruit for the kind of show that it is.
I
And yeah,
must know who wrote this.
and also, there is one thing that I do want to mention also is that this is something that's often been mentioned on social media, but you know when the series, like, you got to keep in mind how bad this pilot is. Because not only was it was rejected by the CW.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to keep in mind that it's the CW who would, like, yeah, they do have a few good shows going on. Like, so far things are going well with Superman and Lois. But they would often pick things up that would feel like scraps from that other channels would reject. Like this is the show that like it really sounds like they want to take the Powerpuff Girls and they want to give it the same kind of treatment that they did with like Teen Titans or especially with frickin' Archie. Like, they want to go into that route to make it dark and edgy over something that shouldn't even be dark and edgy in the first place. And I'm not saying that it's impossible to go into that direction with the Powerpuff Girls. There
Yeah,
are
we give
ways.
some really examples.
Yeah, there are ways that you can legitimately make it successful. But it's the fact that it's from the CW that makes people highly doubt this. It's the fact that a lot of people just don't have trust on the CW to go and take the Powerpuff Girls and bring it back in a more mature and adult way. And if it's with that pilot, oh boy, well, we got some major problems. You know when things are bad when that's their first shot and the CW just looks at that and goes, yeah, it doesn't look good for our channel. Yeah, do this again.
I just looked to see who wrote it, and credits go to Heather Reginier and Diablo Cody.
Oh, well, they are going to be working on the same script again. Like, they're going to be doing the second shot, but... Oh,
Yep, Heather's
man.
Heather's titles include Falling Skies as a staff writer. She wrote episodes of Sleepy Hollow. She was a producer and writer for iZombie, and did some work for Veronica Mars. Diablo Cody is best known for writing and producing Jennifer's Body. This is... Oh yeah, and she also... oh my god, she also did Juno. So it's like, what the heck? I mean, is it a case where they wrote material and they kind of just juggled around and said, well, my joke's better than yours, we'll put it here? Or was it just some weird collaboration thing? I'm a little curious now.
I don't know, man.
Like, hell, a comedian can bomb once in a while and they can make a bad script and come out human, but just looking at those credits alone, it's like, wow, maybe they just went in a direction that just did not work.
I will say, though, for now, it does sound like a very fascinating behind-the-scenes story. Like, to hear I know it's still in massive development, but hearing the story about the making of this pilot, I'm sure it's going to be very interesting, especially with this brand new chapter that happened right now with a pilot that is so bad that not even the CW would want to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. At least they're going to rework it.
Well, yeah, of course they're going to rework it because it's a concept that's just too good to pass out. It's it's a reboot of the Powerpuff Girls, and you got to keep in mind what other CW show that's going to be coming soon that people are currently talking about. Like, even if it turns out to be a massive piece of crap, it knows that like people will be watching it, it will be getting a lot of attention, and it will be highly discussed on social media. So
Oh well, at least we still got Whose Line Is It Anyway.
yeah, of course. Like, it's going to be a major it's a major opportunity that the CW does not want to miss out. And regardless of how it'll turn, they really want to really capitalize on that situation because a lot of people are talking about it, and regardless if they really want to see it because they like the idea or if they absolutely hate it, they know that people are going to watch it.
And given their track record of superhero series, they got so much under their belt. They had Arrow, Supergirl, Batwoman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear that they want something as successful as that, but they know it's such a different property because the original incarnation was comedic. It was a satire, basically, straight up.
Mhm.
So how to translate that to what they're looking for here is probably going to be a little challenging because you're talking about taking characters that were once girls and now they're in their 20-year-olds starting to realize, oh, we can't do what we used to anymore. So it's going to be an interesting turn of events.
And not to
Oh,
mention having a massively dedicated fan base where, like, even one little slip is just gonna cause a lot of rage.
if it were me, I would write these characters on the basis that they're realizing that they're getting into their teen years and some of the things that they have the ability to do is starting to affect how they're changing into adulthood. That would be an interesting direction to take it instead of just making it all silly, goofy, and stuff. Yeah,
I think
make
there
it.
might have been a few episodes of the original show of that. Come to think of it.
Hmm. There was the Bad Hair Day episode where they accidentally cut off Blossom's hair, and she has like this weird. This is like if living next to a freeway. Motorcycles and trucks. You got a second chance. You got a second chance to do it right, but if you're gonna do it right,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah. In
really,
fact, I remember seeing on social media that there was one person who actually did a really good job, and I recommend you check it out. It was on DeviantArt. I forgot who it is, but they actually did some like an actual idea of like what would be like an adult Powerpuff Girls show look like. And I don't mean like like rated R, rated X Powerpuff Girls.
I
I mean
know,
like
I know.
I mean
I
like
almost
if
made
the
that joke
Powerpuff
earlier too.
yeah, it's like it's the Powerpuff Girls if they were adults. It's called Future Puff. And it's very fascinating. Like so far the DeviantArt person only did like a bunch of designs, but like they really do stay true to the style of the original show that they had, and even like little ideas of like little moments of like what would happen when some characters confront each other, and it's very cute, and it stays true to the Craig McCracken series, to the original tone.
I'm not a fan of the legs on the three, but I can kind of see it working.
Are you sure, Morgan? I mean, them legs, though.
They look like chopsticks.
It's the Powerpuff Girls. How do you make them grow up? They don't even have fingers. They don't have toes. They don't have noses.
Oh, wait a minute. You say future puffs, and yet this comes to mind. Let's see if I can do a share screen here. There we go.
Now, let me see. Can you do? Oh, you can. Oh God, no, it's not that.
Well, you come with my clutches, little girls. I can't wait to eat your soul.
Oh God, him as Zoidberg as him. That is such an odd combo.
That made my day for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh God!
Oh.
I see that you have come. Oh God!
Let me turn that off.
Oh God! That's not the kind of future puff that I'm talking about.
I'll be good.
Yeah, but overall though, I think it really stands about like how crazy this whole situation is going just to make a live action reboot of the Powerpuff Girls. That like even the first shot of the pilot is just so bad, and like even the jokes and the gags that they have is just so cringy that like that couldn't even pass like for Robot Chicken. It's just insane.
Even Robot Chicken does that better because it literally feels like you're playing with your own toys, having a sense of state of mind. Like, would it be like if Baloo was in the Born Identity and things like that? Because at least, I mean, okay, not every sketch works, but in that mindset, they think, well, if it was a grown adult playing with these toys, they'd have a very demented imagination. And that's the fun of Robot Chicken.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
This would even pass for a sketch on Mad TV, and they did stuff like that.
It's ridiculous. Let's just hope for the best for this pilot, and that maybe there could be hope for this Powerpuff reboot. If not, oh dear, I know like the internet is just going to be in a frenzy.
I'll give it this much. At least they didn't call it something ridiculous like Powerpuff Teens or Powerpuff Adults. How weird that would have been.
I don't know. I think that would be, yeah. I think it's better to just call it Powerpuff because yeah, if you're gonna go with Powerpuff Adults, I think that's just gonna be something that you would find in Pornhub.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So with
It's a shame that I called the whoop ass girls because there's no way they get away with a line like that.
yeah, that is true.
Mm.
All right. So let's go into the chat wall, and I would like to know what you think about the whole situation with the failed Powerpuff pilot. Have you guys read the script? How do you feel about it? Do you think it's a good move for them to reboot it, or should they just can it all together? Let me know what you all think.
Oh boy, these are popping up faster than radishes in the Gorg's garden.
Oh yeah. Oh man, they keep, yeah, trust me, when they have something to say, like it just pops up. It's like,
Mhm.
I know.
The chances of any fan comment coming from Mars is 1,000,000 to 1, but still they come in droves.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Oh boy, if CW has to decide to rework this, then you know that this is bad. I have read some parts of the script myself, and no, and not do I want to get some eye bleach, but I want to put my brain in a washing machine. I don't want to even hear Buttercup say "leak your nudes" ever. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the 2016 Powerpuff Girls somehow might not be the worst thing that has ever happened to the show now. It maybe could be saved, but you are gonna need to work. You need to have the work of a saint to fix this mess.
Or hire one of the Reitman brothers. No, Ivan Reitman's siblings, my mistake.
Maybe.
My brain is off the fritz today.
I know.
In analyzing the way the script was written, the way the girls talk and act makes me think it goes way against character. That's why in the case of Disney characters, they developed a development that takes scripts from licensed writers and tweak them to ensure characters like Goofy say exactly how the character should say. At least could they have invited Craig McCracken back into the reboot as consultant to make sure that these scripts mistakes don't happen again. It's kind of a shame too because they didn't bring in Craig McCracken as a consultant or anything.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because you do wonder what Craig's input could have been.
Yeah,
on transitioning this to the screen.
Yeah,
and the only other example I can think of taking an old material and updating it is the new DuckTales that recently ended.
That is true. Like it could have actually been a great help, and it would have been interesting to see. Like at least with the 2016 reboot, Cartoon Network apparently did offer Craig McCracken to come in and help things out, but he couldn't because he was under contract with Disney. This one, I don't know what would be the excuse. Maybe he's currently just too busy working with Netflix with Kid Cosmic. But
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but it would have like definitely been a great benefit if Craig McCracken would have come in to help things out.
Hey.
Let's see now. If this ever made to the final cut, then yeah. If it would have been made in the final cut, then yeah, it would have failed so bad. Even the 2016 reboot is better than this. While I'm not a humongous Powerpuff Girls guy, I did like the 1998 show fine. But if they ever decide to do so, like with this for Ed, Edd and Eddy, then pluck no. That will never happen, by the way, considering that Danny Antonucci actually does have the rights to Ed, Edd and Eddy. So smart.
That is true. That is true.
I would go on a massive rampage if they ever do this to my favorite scamming cul-de-sac trio. I know they're my favorite too.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Have you seen the fan attempts of that to see what it would be like if they were teenagers or adults?
Oh yeah.
Some of it's clever, but other times it's like
there are some good attempts, but then there are others that's like no thanks.
Yeah. At least we know Eddie is where he should be, working for a mining company, and he loves it. It's true. The original voice actor retired from voice acting, and he took up a job. So.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. Once in a while, when he gets requests from fans to do the voice, he'll do it in R-rated fashion.
Yeah, I do recall there was a recent reunion actually. Like
I wanted to see that.
Yeah. Like there was a podcast on YouTube that actually brought all three of them back together. I'm surprised. Like I know the guy who voiced Ed, he retired.
Oh no, Eddie's the one. The guy who voices Eddie was the one that went to.
Oh, you mean Double D?
No, not Double D. Eddie, the
small yellow shirt guy, the scamming leader.
The one with the bowling jacket.
Okay, yeah, that's Eddie. That's
Hang on a
definitely
second.
Eddie.
Now I gotta. Tony Sampson. That's it. Tony Sampson. He's the one that voiced Eddie and later went on to work for a mining corporation.
Ah, okay, that makes
My
sense.
mistake. My mistake.
Okay. Let's see. In analyzing the way the script, oh no, wait, no, you just literally read that. Sorry. Honestly, I haven't read the script, but I'm curious to read it now. Though hearing Buttercup as a lesbian, first Betty DeVille in Rugrats, now Buttercup. Why not go for the butch tomboy girls as lesbians? I know there's the stereotype of a lipstick lesbian, but you know, I hope we have a dumb show so that is so serious is funny. Like, holy crap, the social media plugs for no reason.
That's a good point too, because even as a kid, I didn't realize about the whole thing with Betty DeVille.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Because that
Ben-
was subtly done from her relationship with Howard and what they do now with the new Rugrats show, which I have not watched, but I've heard some things of.
well, I think
But at the same time,
they just got it released right now.
yeah, just recently. So it's like, yeah, there's a good way to have an LGBTQ character, but there's so much potential when you take someone that's well known and turn in this direction. But if it's just wasted potential and jokes, come on,
Yeah,
write better,
like
man.
if it's just if it's just for the purpose of gags and stuff like that, that is not good representation.
Yeah.
Like, you need to do better. Like, at least with Betty, that makes a lot of sense. Like, even when you
Yeah.
look past the show, it's like is there anyone that's gay? Yeah, it's her, but she has a husband. Screw Howard.
There's 5 jokes right now, but I don't want to get kicked off Twitch for them. All I can say is, what the hell is the CW thinking? While I do think they do great work with the DC TV shows, this is just insane. Honestly, I'm absolutely dreading this series now because of how that script was a mess. I'm expecting this show to be a complete disaster, and I just hope the new script will be better. Also, I feel sorry for Craig McCracken right now because how badly the Powerpuff Girls have been treated over the years. I'm just glad he is getting better treatment.
Yeah, I think he has moved on from all this. Like, he accepted that the Powerpuff Girls does not belong to him, but it's good to know that he is doing fine.
Yeah, as long as they're doing alive and well, that's important.
All right, I'll read one more comment here. After reading about the original pilot for this show, all I could say is yikes. This is like the 2016 reboot bad, but so I can understand why the show is being reworked on, and I have to applaud the CW for doing that, and I am interested to see how the show does end up turning out. In a way, it's kind of similar to what happened to the Sonic movie, where the first impression was a complete disaster and had to be reworked and ended up paying off immensely.
Well, to keep in mind with the Sonic movie, the director was the one that pushed the change. Because when he saw the reactions and everything, he was like, oh, this is my first movie. I don't want this to happen to me. And that was a good call, by the way, pushing that movie back to February.
Yeah, that is true, and like saving some time to actually thank God Paramount actually did give him the opportunity to actually rework on the design to make things better, because it really did pay off extremely well.
They very rarely do that for first-time directors. You have no idea how many stories I've heard where certain people don't get final cut or final say on certain things. That was a one lucky chance he got.
Oh, absolutely. And I think with that said, that should conclude this episode. Morgan, thank you so much for joining me on this. Man, this was a fun episode. I am so glad I brought you on board.
You're welcome, and I have a special surprise for you if that's okay.
Okay.
I brought a little clip with me. It's only 3 minutes long. If it's okay, it's just 3 minutes, I promise.
Okay.
Or less, or you get a free pizza next week. Right now, I'm finishing touches on an episode of my show on a review of Mystery Science Theater 3000, and I thought it'd be interesting to show a clip to your viewers of what's to be expected. It's a really funny sequence. The episode in general is a parody of Star Trek Mirror Mirror. I had some really good friends of mine working on it, and this is the opening introduction of, well, a portion of the opening introduction. It's a really funny sequence, and if I may, I'd like to share it with you.
Yeah, sure, go ahead, man.
All right. So just to give the context, again, it's a parody of the Star Trek episode Mirror Mirror, where thanks to an ion storm, I get transported into another parallel dimension. So instead of Digit, it's a different scientist and Lackey as well. And in this sequence, I pretty much learned the ins and outs of what happens in this universe and what I'm to be uptaked. The guy playing the scientist, I don't think you know him. His name's Gus Webb. Very funny person. He's the guy that can make me so easily entertained at the point I literally laugh out of my seat. This character was all him. I got nothing else to say except I hope you enjoy this little preview.
All right. Let's check this out.
Okay. If there's any technical issues, just let me know.
How strange, Sully. Notice how our test subject is not groveling and bowing. What do you make of this?
My guess is that after 130 experimental trials, you two would lose some memory.
Fair enough. Here's a refresher. I'm Dr. Gordon Beakerman, and soon the world will bow to my every will.
And me too.
Shut up.
Great. An evil parallel universe. All the places to be in. You have a theory? You're right. It's gotta be some of that ion storm.
Now I've subjected you to 130 movies and TV shows, and...
Wait, let me guess. I have to review them based on your will to try and break my sanity with your choices.
My. How our test subject works quickly.
My test subject, you spare Amiga motherboard?
Amiga? Dude, that's just low.
Don't interrupt me again, or I'll downgrade you to an iPod mini. Well, Foxy Rabbit, it appears you already know what's at stake here. I request, and you examine.
Sounds simple enough. But I just wonder where this whole evil parallel universe thing fits in. Methinks I need to watch Star Trek more often.
That's enough alternative sci-fi, curious vixen. Your movie today flopped harder than the atom bomb did at the box office in 1996. I give you Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie. Roasting it well, Padawan of Dagobah sewage. Send him the movie, Sully.
Uploading now.
You gotta have that classic sound.
Oh, Judy, we got movie sign.
What in the Sam hell are you doing? You always review movies here, not in some fancy intergalactic cinerama. Besides, we don't have the budget to build one.
So if you want to see the rest of that, we will be premiering that episode tonight. I'm this close to finishing off and exporting it. You can check it out on our Twitch stream at twitch.com/HiMaytude with me and my fellow Dread Mutant friends. We'll be riffing part 2 of the extended cut of the 1976 King Kong remake. Many things in store: prizes, contests, trivia, and live uncut improv.
Awesome. And are there other places that we could find you on the internet?
Always. You can find me on Twitter at MovieBuffMel90. There's a Facebook page I have for my show. It's the official Vaulting fan club. And of course, you always find me on YouTube. Just give me a search, Vaulting Morgan Ledger, and you'll find a couple of episodes.
Awesome. All right. So, Morgan, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. And thank you all so much for listening and watching this. Tune in next week where we are going to have more fun-filled stories to go and talk about. So, with all that said, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.
See you in 6 months.